Hey, peace to the room. Welcome to my space of Eve. I think everybody who's in here knows me already, but if you are listening to this later, maybe you don't, but I'm here to read you the news. How funny is that, right? No. Um, Tonight, I wanted to talk about protecting the minis from predators. That's what I want to talk about. I've shared a couple things in the jumbo because I felt the need to bring some context to my topic. I hope that you get a chance to peruse the jumbo. And if anybody wants to come up, you are more than welcome. I'm going to try not to soapbox, but as it stands, if I'm the only person speaking, then it might seem like I'm soapboxing. So there is that. But protecting the minis from predators. Here's where I wanted to start. Well, I guess I really wanted to start with Buck because he kind of puts me in a whole mood that makes me want to say it with my chest, right? Don't y'all ever want to say things with your chest? Do y'all let the music do it for you? I try to let the music do it for me. But then sometimes I'm jamming to a very questionable song at the red light, and then, maybe that's not the time nor the place for said song or said jam session. I don't know, but maybe that's just me. I'm looking for an article that I shared in the jumbo, but for whatever reason, it's not pulling up on the laptop. So I'm just wasting time talking to y'all. I know y'all remember back in 2020 when Joe Biden had that Zoom call with all of those black faces in high places, and he clapped at them. Remember, didn't I tell you niggas that if you ain't black, well, that you ain't black if you don't vote for me? That's kind of what he said. But he clapped at them real ratchet-like. And maybe that was the beginning of the end of his faculties. I don't know. But at the end of the day, a lot of people have made note of where people are in the totem pole and how they might not be here in a very big way if they don't get some help. So enter the black sperm and egg combination that people know to be a winning move, and now you can exist into the future a little bit longer. I guess kind of like that Get Out movie, except it's not necessarily that they're putting somebody's personality into your body as much as you're programming yourself with these other frequencies. So you might have a black face, but you definitely are acting like them other people. So, we got to pay attention to this stuff if you are around this stuff. And I think that by default, we are all around a lot of this stuff. And maybe we want to put our blinders on, or maybe we want to say it's not really affecting us. But like Nicki Minaj, I don't listen to her music, so I don't know if y'all do or not. But essentially right now, the issue that they're having is because she's on tour and she got all these little kids buying tickets, which I have issues there. I don't know why children are buying tickets to a Nicki Minaj concert, but okay, let's just say that all of the parents nowadays, all these millennial parents and Generation X parents are just real lax with what they allow their children to listen to. And okay, so they let them listen to Nicki. Okay, fine. But now we've got the problem. If this person is a registered sex offender, then should he be anywhere near where children are? And I guess I'm posing that to the room. His crime happened a very long time ago in 1995, and because of the violence involved in his crime, he's been labeled as a person who will probably do it again. But, racism, white supremacy, we get the shit end of the stick. Maybe he was just kind of streamlined or pushed into this dangerous black man category. I don't know. Y'all would have to tell me. Because from what I see, I mean, if you rape somebody at knife point, it sounds like you know exactly what you're doing. And, you're using a weapon to make sure that you get the job done. Um, and I'm sorry. I think it was an alleged rape. Let me get my math right before I start slandering people and getting in trouble for that. First degree attempted rape. Okay, so that means he attempted to rape her at knife point. Is there a distinction without a difference? I don't know. I guess if she knew that she were going to be raped and she were able to get away, then I guess that's cool. Sometimes that doesn't happen. But my question for the room and to anybody who's listening later, should he be allowed to be on tour with Nicki as his wife, or should he stay his black ass at home? I'm sorry, his melanated ass at home. Does anybody have a response on that? Infirmary, I see you in the room. Did you get your audio issues worked out? I hope you can hear the space. Peace, Marco. Peace to my sister Isla and Taisha and Nicey and everybody else in the room who's listening. I think it's cool that y'all are here. Let's see. Isla, I think you commented that Well, I'm not even going to read it because you put your hand up. So thank you for coming up and using your own words to tell everybody what you were trying to tell me.
Hey, hold on, let me step out of here. I have not done all my errands that I said I was going to do, so I just chimed in. Okay, so to the question, to my understanding, it depends on what the sexual offense was, what will determine whether or not he can't have access or be around, say small children or within the, certain proximity of a school or a daycare, what have you. And then they don't always have to be on the register for a lifetime. Some people have to register for 5 years, 10 years. So it depends on the details of the offense. And I don't know much about his particular case. I didn't even know she was married. But I don't know anything, specific about his particular case to say one way or another. I'm not sure because I'd have to see the details of it. But I do agree with what you're saying. They always mash the gas on us when it comes to any crime. Um, I was listening to a documentary, I think it was yesterday. They were talking about plea bargains and how that whole system is broken, and then you have to carry around these. Uh, I call them badges of an unjust justice system with you for the rest of your life for things that you had to take a plea bargain for, or you were forced to kind of take a plea bargain, for. So I guess the bottom line of what I'm trying to say is I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion, a specific opinion about this particular person. Um, so I guess maybe that can be something I'll look into.
I think that is good. And everybody should always do their own research. I'm just Eve, right? I'm not out here trying to tell y'all how to think or even what to think, but that we should be having thoughts. And as it stands, I had this thought when I saw something posted on Facebook about the whole situation. Nicki Minaj's husband's not able to go on tour with her and parents are requesting refunds. And I'm like, whoa. First of all, why are y'all letting your children go to Nicki Minaj concerts? But okay, fine. We already talked about that. Secondly, maybe if he's not allowed to be around kids, then he's not allowed to be around the children, right? But as it stands, I try to do my fact checking in real time and before time, but it looks like, at least according to ChatGPT, it was a fabricated screenshot that I saw circulating on Facebook, and that Live Nation did not issue such a statement about parents requesting refunds for tickets for the tour. So I guess that's cool to find out. But it looks like when you fail to register as a sex offender in different states, there's different consequences for that. So Isla, you are absolutely right. There are different statutes based off of the specific crime and the severity of the assault. But I think with him, at least what it looks like, he's supposed to have been registering as a sex offender for life, according to the severity of
Hmm.
his conviction.
Well, do we
Um,
know? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
go
interrupt
ahead,
you.
go ahead.
Do we know like what county he was in, or city or state, where we could actually pull up the public records and see the actual court documents related to it?
I feel you. Let me see. I think that it is, from what I had been looking up, and from what I found, but I'm sure there's more information. Where'd it go? When they moved to California, that's when he was supposed to re-register or register there, and then he didn't. So his failure to register there kind of is what got him into the hot water that he's in right now. But from there,
Got it.
I guess, where did they grow up? Are they from New York? I don't know. Is Nice D, do you know? Is Nicki Minaj, where are they from?
They're both from New York, and I believe the incident itself happened in New York. The little bit that I've read up on it, he was actually 15 years old, and the female was 16 years old when this happened. Not to excuse it,
No,
but
no, but that actually speaks to, I don't know if you were in here right at the beginning, after I was playing music, but that speaks to a point that we keep having to deal with, is that
mm-hmm,
these big black men, these angry black men, and then you find out it's a little boy, but
right.
a little boy with a knife, out here raping everybody. We got to take account for where this little nigga came from, and then why he's out here harassing people like this. Like, who are your parents? Who are your people? And I don't know that any of the boys around me at that age were that aggressive, but I
No,
also
well,
didn't come from where they come from, and I don't
right.
mean like from not here. I mean just my home life here at that age. I didn't have a similar. I didn't have that struggle. New York is a
Now
hard place.
I thought he was dating the girl too. They were supposedly girlfriend and boyfriend at one point, and then I don't know, like if he snatched her in the alley and put a knife to her throat, if they were sort of dating or something. Like I've heard so many mixed stories. I've always tried to give not grace, I guess, but a little grace, if you will, because I'm looking at the mindset of a 15-year-old at the time. Hormonal 15-year-olds. I can say
Absolutely, I
not
feel you.
to
Not to
excuse it,
give him
right?
any right. You're not, but even just with what you said, if he was 15 and she was 16, then now I'm trying to figure out, well, shit. What if she was trying to harm him, right? He was just trying to get away, and because there's a stigma on boys getting raped, you got to spin it so you can be tough. I don't know, but at the end of the day, Nikki's not necessarily the picture of somebody's mom that you would think that would be out here trying to make things easier for the minis because of what she promotes, maybe.
Right.
And then if he's her man, then he supports the things that she's putting out there. And then from there, their unit kind of seems a little afflicted, just to me.
Well, I mean,
But I guess you got to stand by your man. But
she has
I
to
don't know.
stand by her man. And what did he bring? I mean, he's probably like, supposedly they were like junior high friends or something too, or high school friends. He kind of came out of nowhere. She married him, had a kid. Like, what does he do? We know what she does, but what does he do?
Right. We got these Tommy ass niggas out here.
Right, I'm just saying, Tommy ain't got no
Like,
time.
what's your job, nigga? Okay. I mean, maybe he writes her stuff. I don't know. And I guess there's a lot of that happening in the industry. I can't say that, her talent is her talent. I have no clue, really. I don't listen to a lot of stuff that people put
Is
out
he
because I
tether?
find it garbage. But
Is he a
what did you
tether?
say?
Is
See,
he
that's what I'm
tether?
saying. I don't know. I don't know. Look at his hair. Maybe.
Yeah. Right.
I feel like, I'm sorry. I apologize to all my New York brothers and sisters, but the biggest elephant in the room about y'all is that pretty much from the 70s on, there's no telling if y'all are us or if y'all are not us. And I don't know if maybe they tried to be black first up there, nicety. And then got ran up out the paint by people who don't want us to be there. I don't know what the issue is with New York, as much as I know it's a lot of people up there that's not from here, but they won't tell you that. They'll try to be from here. And then now all this bad shit gets put on us, and he might
I'm
not
looking.
be us, right? We got to
I'm
label
looking.
things how they are.
I'm trying to find it. Now it says
And that's not
it
saying,
acknowledges
that's
her
not saying that all,
Trinidadian.
go ahead.
Sorry, it acknowledges her, Trinidadian ethnicity, but it says he's Black American basically.
And maybe he is. Maybe he is. I
You from New
I
York? You
just
never know.
I'm gonna give a caveat that if he was born in the 70s on, you should ask questions about your people. And then, from there, maybe he didn't have nobody looking out for him. And, when that happens, sometimes the best of us we start acting up or whatever. I find that at our very big ages, some things that are, even if it's not what went down, we have an opportunity to do something about it, right? So if he were wronged, then you would think that they would be trying to correct it versus try to cover over it. I've seen a lot of articles where her team, her fans, her staff, the people around her have been harassing people who have been speaking up for the girl that he attempted to rape. And that's kind of wild to me because, if he didn't do anything wrong, then why are they threatening her, right?
What
You know
about
what
her
I'm
brother?
saying?
Remember her brother? Just her brother recently, or the last few years, got convicted of molesting his stepdaughter, if I'm not mistaken. Remember that, you guys?
Nikki's brother?
Nikki's brother got convicted of molesting his stepdaughter.
The fuck?
Yeah. Let me pull
Um,
that up and put it in the jumbotron.
put in the jumbo. I'm pulling it up right
Yeah.
now. Nicki Minaj's brother sentenced to 25 years for child rape.
Mm-hmm. Boom. Of his stepchild. Yep.
And that is interesting because all these children in this area getting harmed is a problem if people don't want to do anything about it. Isla and Nicety, y'all have heard the stereotype that our community doesn't do anything to the people who are harming us in a big way, to the point where you've got families who will say, well, you just can't be around that cousin or that uncle or that person. Have y'all heard that before?
Yeah, that, I might say that there might be some validity to that, but I wanted to say this. The Caribbean culture, The Spanish cultures, they got it bad. They got it way worse.
And I don't think it's acceptable, in our community. Full transparency. I was a victim of child sexual molestation as a kid, and I was not told not to tell. And so right after it happened, I told. And just say my father and my uncles put that nigga in the trunk of a car, you know what I'm saying, and was about to do bad things to him. Now that my mom also reported it to the police the same day. So it happened. I told the same day, he was in jail the same day. But that was a different time. So he went to jail, got out until court, whatever. But when he got out, my dad and my uncles put his ass in the trunk and was about to do some things to him, which they would talk to them out of it because they didn't want them to go to jail. Like if he come up missing, they gonna point to y'all, but shit was handled, both ways with law enforcement and with family. So shit just didn't, get swept under the rug. It wasn't that, oh, we're going to keep this between us type of shit. No, my father and my uncles took care of shit.
And if you don't mind, this was a friend of the family, a
It
family,
was my
or
mom's boyfriend.
okay. So now we've got people who are close to us harming us, and then you've got people in your family who had very real consequences for the harm that was done. And you said
Immediately.
your mom reported to the police, right?
My mom reported it to the police, my father, her brothers, immediately. I mean, like I said, it happened. He left, and I'm thinking I played a game, I guess, and I told, and then I was talking to the police next second, and he was in jail. Like everything happened literally the same day. There
Well,
was no
shout out to your
days. We
mom
didn't have to
because
think about it. None of that.
shout out to your mom because I feel like a lot of times we hear the opposite, right?
Right.
My mom didn't believe me. My mom kicked me out for her man. They try to put this
Oh no.
negative trope on the woman for accepting this abusive behavior because she's so selfish, right? So
Right.
I love to hear that your mom is not one of those because we need to hear more of those. Maybe more
Right.
people would be comfortable speaking up if they know that it's okay to speak up against someone who's abused you.
And shout out to my uncles, and my part-time daddy, my biological. He stepped up then. He stepped up. But yeah, like I think that's why it's not just
shout
so
out to
easy
them.
for me to
That's
talk
cool.
about it, because I felt protected, although it happened, what I'm saying. And once I told, and everybody, believed me, and defended me, I've always felt protected about it, even though it happened, and that part was out of my mom's control. But, she took immediate action.
I appreciate you sharing that story with us. And again, when people get more comfortable sharing what's happened to them, then other people will feel comfortable sharing what's happened to them. Um, we live in a culture of cowards, and inside of the culture of cowards, people don't want to be accountable for anything. So if you hold somebody to account, well, now you feel like you're going to get held to account. And I don't understand the disconnect because that makes sense to me, right? In a balanced world, everybody would be held to account for the things that they do. From there, if you do some shit that you need to have some consequences for, haven't we all learned at some point in our very big ages that for every action there's a consequence, whether it's a good one or a bad one? Now with these bad ones, I find that people want to protect people across the board, and it's at least very recently, it's the abusers who are getting the protection and the victims who are getting more victimized. And I don't know what that is. Um, like I said earlier with the woman that was the victim of Nicki Minaj's husband's assault, they've been harassing her ever since she, speaking out about what happened to her. And that was a few years ago, but she's still kind of dealing with the trickle-down effect of speaking up. And with my own situation, I'm finding that there's a lot of people speaking up to me privately. Did y'all get that? A lot of people speaking up to me privately about the things that have happened to them at the hands of the abuser. And I'm just taken aback by how many people have been harmed, but how quiet it is. And I just was really hoping that if we were wanting to protect the minis from predators, that people who are putting themselves as influential people who want to affect the next generation, people who want to be legacy bringers, legacy bearers. They want to have an effect on the next generation in a way that their name's still going to matter later. And if we've got people like that, but they're out here harming people, then maybe we wouldn't have those people in the way. But as it stands, I don't know what the disconnect is. I don't know why we're having issues protecting the minis from predators outside of maybe we got some predatory behavior of our own and people just don't want to accept it or acknowledge it, or maybe it's not that at all. I don't know, but I was really hoping to maybe come to a conclusion or a resolution about the bystander effect. Because again, I'm seeing people who want to be influential with the youth, but I'm also seeing that their behavior is kind of detrimental to the group. And if that's the case, then I don't know if these people should be affecting the youth, at least in the way that they are telling everybody that they want to be affected. And if that's the case, do we have slimeball uncles that we're telling people just don't be around that slimeball uncle? Like, he's your uncle, you gotta love him, but, maybe don't be in no rooms with him. Like, is that where we are? And why is that where we are? Why, Isla, why is it that we've got family who will protect the abuser and then tell the victim to... Sorry, I probably cut out. Isla, can you still hear me? Can y'all still hear me?
I can. Can you give me 1 moment to answer? But go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah. Okay. So the question to the room, anybody in the room, why is it that we have this issue with speaking up about abusers in our family? And shout out to Nicey's family, who's given us an example of people who speak up and do things that make sense when a child has been harmed. But I've seen a lot of children be harmed by people in their family, by people around their family, and I've seen those same children get told that they need to be quiet, that it only happened once, that, well, you shouldn't have been wearing that skirt, you shouldn't have been wearing them shorts, you shouldn't have been doing X, Y, and Z. And if you're 12, you should be able to be 12, right? Peace, Kush. Welcome to my space and my uncomfortable conversation. How are you?
I'm good. Peace, power, reparations to everybody in the room, and shout out to you for hosting the space. The fact of the matter is this: there is no real answer to ever excuse or protect a person that harms your child. If I know that that's a family member and they're like that, you're not coming nowhere near me. That's just point blank and period. This is point blank and period. Not there is no you coming over to the house and then me telling my child that they need to change into something that's a little bit more appropriate. No, this is their safe space. This is their environment. This is their home. And nobody has the right on the outside to feel like they can come into their safe space and their environment and they have to tailor themselves to make that other person feel comfortable after they know that that person is that way that they are. Like, there's no excuse about that. There's no answer to, no real, I could just say appropriate answer. I think that people have managed to, I'm not going to say normalize it, but it's always something that's been like kept on a hush hush. Like, you're not supposed to go out there and talk about it. You're not supposed to express yourself, and we're not going to deal with your trauma right now because we're more focused on the predator than the victim itself. And that right there is a trauma that a lot of babies are not able to heal from. And it starts to cultivate a resentment and a not great relationship amongst parent or auntie with that child at the end of the day. Like, I would have an issue if my mother had said, well, you're not supposed to talk about what happened. It only happened one time, so it's not that big of a deal. While on the inside, I'm hurting on the inside and it's showing, and I don't have a tool to express myself in an appropriate manner because you're telling me how I feel needs to just be kept low. Like, that is the most appalling thing. I think anybody who is willing to say that to a child and to any kind of capacity, you're a sick individual, and you yourself don't need to be around children just as much as that predator doesn't need to be around children. But I'm gonna land there. So thank you for letting me speak.
No, thank you for coming up. But let me pose this to you. So is that only because it's a child? Do women and children get the same courtesies, or when you're an adult now, there's nuances that need to be paid attention to or paid more close attention to? For example, Nicey's mom was dating a bad guy. She did the right thing, but in other cases, they're not doing the right thing. So does the mom get punished? Should she get punished for bringing this person around?
Yes, because at one point in time, you obviously didn't know this person as well as you thought they were, and they managed to put your family in a predicament of harm. Like, me personally, like, if I was in a situation like that where I had a child and I'm in a dating situation, I would not bring that person around my child for at least a few years until I myself get a really good scope of who they are. And if I already just have an inclination or maybe even have like something like an intuition that goes on, it's like, probably no, this is not going to work. It's just not going to work. And I think that vetting and getting to know people who you call yourself dating is going to be extremely imperative. Like, you have to do your research, especially if you have a child that's in the mix, that could be potentially in the mix of this at all. Because the goal at the end of the day should always be protect the minis.
Absolutely. Protect the minis. Let's go back to, Isla, are you back?
Almost. Give me one more second. But I will answer the question. Sorry.
You're good. So I hope you remember that question, because I'm going to throw another one out there, or at least backtrack a little bit. When we have people in positions of power who are affecting the minis, so I'm going to call a spade a spade. You know, when we're listening to people on these streams and waves and frequencies and such, and we have minis, they're listening too. And now we are affecting the minis in a big way. I personally have had to have conversations with my minis about the frequencies and the people that we've been listening to and or don't listen to anymore, and the reasons why. And at this point, I feel like because of how we've been rearing them, you know, they can understand a threat and they know what threats do. They understand invaders. They understand people in costumes. They understand family and enemies and allies. And I think it's hella complex that we've got minis who have to even think about stuff like this. But at the end of the day, they know that we've got a very real fight up against these other people who don't fuck with us. So when we are listening to people who are in these positions of power, whether they are in politics or they are in church or they are in our social circles, and we've had moments of maybe this isn't where I need to be with, you know, these minis, maybe the message is something else. I don't know if y'all ever tuned into the business broadcast, but a lot of times there's a lot of ass on the screen, right? So now I've had to explain to the minis that the person who does the news also has a kink for asses on the screen. Have y'all had that conversation, or is it just me? Am I the only person whose minis listen to the people that we listen to sometimes, or I don't know. Maybe it's just
My
me.
son only listens to Tariq.
When Tariq comes on, does he have like a familial relationship with the sound, the voice, the man?
Yep. And he's met him a few times since like 13 years old. So yeah. And of course, my son met Raheem, obviously, you know, and I think he has a good sense of, you know, if he has a bad vibe, he'll tell me like, Mom, was something off? You know what I'm saying? Like he has a good sense of smelling something that ain't right. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, like based off of conversations that we've had, you know, just me taking him out to different, you know, rallies and things like that, just exposing him to the movement. I will say that I've never introduced him to Jason Black or the business, because although I liked his political stuff, just based off of some of the Facebook posts, like when it comes to relationships and stuff, that threw me off. I've never listened to the business ever, never one time. But that threw me off. So it was like, I don't like this. So I kind of just blocked it and kind of like didn't fuck with it at all, and never introduced my son to him. He doesn't know who that is at all.
Well, again, shout out to you for having discernment and being able to pay attention to your moments. I don't know that I've been around a lot of women who can say that without having a man tell them that that's not how men move. Um, Outside of that, I find that there's a lot of women in his audience, and a lot of those women have children, and a lot of those children are being influenced by a person that I don't know if they should be influenced by. Now, again, you know, if you need somebody to read you the news, then okay, let you, you know, go ahead and do that. But if you're out here thinking that this person is supposed to change your family's life because of the things that they're espousing and talking about and all the things that are supposed to be happening, well, I would urge you to get some evidence for the feelings that you have, because, you know, women have this thing about us where we will give characteristics to people who don't need them or deserve them because of how we feel or how they make us feel. And, you know, a lot of the women that I've been talking to recently who were like Nicety didn't listen to the business because it seems like some women hating shit, but then ended up listening to the business because of how thorough this man is supposed to be and how on code and black empowerment focused he is. So how could you not listen to the power dynamics aspect? But as it stands, once you start tuning into the power dynamics aspect, well, I don't know if this is power dynamics or if it's something else. And if it's something else, then what am I teaching my minis by listening to you? And I've had to have real questions that are seemingly unanswered because not a lot of people want to speak up about this topic. And that's okay, because maybe my voice is loud enough. And if it's not, maybe I can get louder. But to the people in the room, you know, the mic and floor is open if you have a comment on the topic, protecting the minis from predators. I threw an acronym in the jumbo that I made up. Shout out to ChatGPT. Persistent, ruthless, exploitative, deceptive, aggressive, targeting others' rights. Spells Jeremy Barbell Smith. Spells anyone sharing the 8 a.m. Indiegogo after asking me every fucking question under the sun about the abuse. Spells brotherfucker, right? That's Dr. Short. Spells sisterfucker because, you know, again, a lot of people fronting and paying for these things are women with children. And maybe those resources would be better served on the actual people that it can affect in their home. Or maybe they've found something else. I leave back.
Not to speak on anything as I have some type of authority on it, but I think there's a level of shame that comes sometime because of it, not just the victim, but the victim's family, right? And in terms of it being close relatives, sometimes these relatives might be the provider in the family, right? So we tend to, let me close the door. Sorry, I've got companies. My older kids are here, so sorry. You know, but so we tend to hide those things because, okay, if you know, XYZ relative is no longer here, then the provisions may be gone, or you know, in the case of say someone who's dating a man or whatever the case may be. But I think shame, protection, you know, of self, right? You know, that it's a selfish reason why people do it. Um, I don't know, and I guess maybe just plain out crazy. I just can't understand how um, those things are hidden in that way, you know, or we tend to protect the very people that are harming us. What's the second question?
Actually, no, that's a good point. You're bringing up resources. We are a resource-deprived people. Speaking about our reparative justice all the time, right? And then from there, there's people who know that we're people who aren't suffering and dealing with all sorts of shit. And then, you know, you find people who are tired of it, you know, and now we've got this tribe of people who are tired of the bullshit, but are we doing anything to fix it? Or are we just listening to things that make us feel good about our position that we're in? You know, we're always talking to the minis on Sunday about Mr. Neely Fuller, Isla, and how there's a lot of confused people out here. And if we know that there's confused people out here, then it would make sense that there's a lot of smart people out here who want to play on our confusion. And inside of that, we've got well-meaning people doing the wrong thing because of resources or the lack of resources or the promise of resources.
Mhm.
Peace, Mona. Welcome to the stage.
Hello.
I'm glad you're here. Shout out to you and the work that you've done as a Black woman living in America with all the shit that we're dealing with. Happy Black Women's History Month to the women on stage and to the women in the audience and to us, because I guess this is the month that we're supposed to be paying attention to. But Mona, protecting the minis from predators. You have a mini, right? He's my age, right?
Yes, I do. Here's the thing that we have to remember. We, as a race of people, were taught to not snitch. And because of that, we know things, but we don't say anything. And bottom line is that we're a bunch of cowards. A lot of times people don't tell on their relatives or somebody they know because a lot of people want to be liked. They want to be liked and they don't want to tell until it happens to them. Once it happens to them, then they want everybody to come on board. So that's our major problem. As far as protecting the minis from predators, there used to be a time when we would filter. You know, I'm an old woman. I'm 63 years old. So, you know, our adult programming started at 9 p.m. and we had a 8 o'clock bedtime and we had to beg, you know, to stay up to see like something that was going to be past our little curfews. So we don't have any filters. We're supposed to see things, listen to things, hear things, and then filter it. And if we want to speak to our children about it, put it in a language that they will be able to comprehend at whatever age that they're at. because we're still supposed to protect our babies. So while you're listening to something, they're listening to something, you don't know how they're perceiving it. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's real. And to that point, to the point that's a very good point. It's a time and place, and you're right. A lot of parents in this generation don't have the separation of, you can't listen to that music. You can't be around these conversations. You can't be in this environment because we're drinking and having a good time. Just little things like that. I've seen just the lines get blurred. And then from there, just in my own home, from, working on the business broadcast, I've had to make them go in the other room because of what's on the screen or what's being talked about. And they're confused because it's the same man who does the news. And it's like, hold up, but you listen to him for the news. Why can't I listen to him about this? And that was a question that I had a really hard time answering in real time. Now I can answer it, but in real time, that was a hard one.
Well, we were taught to stay in a child's place. We were taught don't get in grown folks' business. So if my parents had company, we had to leave the room. We couldn't sit in there and be like, that's not what happened. Such and such and said what? These children know more than we know now. They can tell you adult conversations, adult situations. We had to go in the other room. When we had parties, the adults were with the adults and the children were with the children. Now we're so ingrained in trying to make our children our friends, and we forgot that we're the parents. So we're not protecting them when we listen to stuff, because a lot of things that we listen to, we're shocked too. We might have to do some research. We might have to, Google some stuff. Let me see if this is correct. But we forgot that our children are like sponges. And then you look up 10, 15 years down the line and you figure, you're like, where did they get this from? And they got it from you. I suffer with, my son is 36 years old. I'm 63. I suffer with maybe giving him too much information too soon. Because once your eyes are open, it's difficult for you to navigate in the world when you're the only one that sees things happening and your friends don't. So there was one time that my son had his little homeboys over, and they was like, where does he get this stuff from? And so I asked them, for instance, what are you talking about? Give me an example. And then once I explained it, they was like, wow, they got it from you. So, yeah, we have to be very careful about the information that we let our children listen to. We have to know that they're prepared for it. And then here's the thing. When they listen to it, because I've done this with my son, if I allow him to see certain things, I need a summary of what you saw. What did you just see? What did you just hear? And we don't do that.
No, that's another very real point. The debriefing of what the minis are exposed to. That doesn't happen because people aren't having conversations, not meaningful ones, I don't think. And then, I guess they're mad or angry when they find out that their child has done something that they were exposed to that maybe we could have done something about had certain conversations happened. So, I mean, I can appreciate that pause and level of understanding about, a time and a place. But to my other point about who we bring around the minis, you've worked, you've been influential on this side of Twitter with regards to the new black media or Jeremy's platform, and I wonder if you would mind maybe sharing how your son felt about this person. Just did he listen to the program, or if he wasn't listening to the program, why you didn't let him listen to the program? Because at that point, it was just the news, right? It wasn't this relationship talk stuff.
Well, before I answer that, let me give you a quick example, because some people have babies. I have grandbabies. And she was watching Doc McStuffin. And when you look at Doc McStuffin, you think it's a great thing. The mother is a doctor, and the little girl is emulating what her mother does. And I really am not a cartoon person, but I was forced to watch it because my granddaughter was watching it. And I wanted to see what the content was. So then I'm watching it and I'm like, what does the daddy do? And then I was like, well, the daddy don't ever go to work. So the mother was working. So the girl would follow that example, but the father was kind of like a stay-at-home dad. So then they had a little boy too. So I'm like, this is a bad look. So I Googled it. And actually, I think and you can correct me, it's been a long time since I did it, but I did a post on Facebook, which actually went viral because it was originally, I think the lady is Korean. It was originally for a white couple. And however the storyline was going, they figured out it would be a bad look for white people. So they made it black people. And so when I posted it, it went viral because nobody pays attention. So as far as my son is concerned, I think with anything, there's some good things and then there's some bad things. So he would have good responses and also bad responses, and elaborate on both sides.
I
Let,
think
let me
that's
say one. Please,
oh,
let me
go ahead.
just let me say this. For all the single mothers, for all the alleged bastard baby makers, for all the women that are chaotic, for all the women that cannot submit to a man's leadership or authority, for all the women that, are hell raisers, for all the women that, we're supposed to be the weaker sex, but we're just destroying these men. What I'm not understanding is how you can support a channel that consistently puts you down, consistently says that you are the reason why black people are not getting ahead. For the programs that concentrate on weaves and eyelashes and weight and tattoos, I have the question, how is that stopping black men from building? That has nothing to do with building. You talk about these women. These are the women that are on the lowest totem pole. You don't want them, so why are you talking about them? You're supposed to be building. Those women should not even be in your radar. So it keeps division. You talk about power dynamics because you really don't know about relationships. You don't know how to tell a man to keep his woman. You don't know how to tell a woman to keep her man. You just want to divide. Don't you want more money? Don't you want more this? Which has nothing to do with relationships and compatibility and being able to work together. So I don't even know what the hell I just said. Y'all got to excuse me. But a lot of division. We are supposed to have these podcasts to have a solution. And the solution can't be just don't fuck with each other. Or, I think the high value man situation kind of blew up in the men's faces in regards to they told everybody to, what do you call it? Get yourself a high value man. Leave Pookie, Ray Ray, Dusties, Rainbows, incarcerated men alone. Get you a high value man, a man that makes six figures. They did not say anything about, excuse me, because I'm getting pissed. They did not say high value in regards to morals, values, boundaries, respectability, how they look in the community. They just said, get you a man that makes over six figures. And then once the women said, okay, now I want a man that makes more than six figures. Now you don't qualify. You don't qualify. You don't qualify. How dare you want a man to make six figures? So you ask the women to change. And then when they change, you say, how dare you? How dare you make me wait for sex for 6 months when you didn't make Pookie and Ray Ray wait? So all the time, the goal is being moved and we're going backwards. We're worse right now than we were when the first Black empowerment movement started. At first, it was black first, black family units. The black people are the baddest people on the planet. Now it's the women are thoughts. The women are hyenas. The women are chaotic. The women can't acquiesce to leadership. All this stuff. But what's the solution? So it's this vitriol going around like on a hamster wheel, and we're just so caught up in the drama, and we're just going backwards. I'm done.
I appreciate you coming through and speaking the words that you spoke tonight, Mona. I think you're right. The separation of the conversation for the minis, that needs to come back in a big way. People need to be more discerning about what their children are around and listening to the point where I was talking about Nikki earlier, and parents allegedly trying to get refunds for her concert when they found out that her child predator husband would be there. And as we found out, that's not exactly true, as much as he does have to put himself on a registry, and he probably shouldn't be at her concerts, especially if there's children in the audience. But why are there children in her audience? That's a whole other conversation, right? But like you said, if we're not doing the adult thing, then we can't necessarily be mad at the children for not knowing any better. So I can take that with a grain of salt and use it, because I have five, and or we have five, and they are sponges, like you said, absorbing everything. So it's very important for us to make sure what they're absorbing is healthy and going to nourish them. And it can't be any type of double talk going on. So all of this has been an eye-opener for me, at least how to move the right way so that we can protect the minis from predators. I don't want them to grow up thinking that, because someone talks a good game, that you should ignore the character flaws, especially when we're living in an age where the authority on things is telling people to pay attention to character flaws. There's some disconnects that we've made that we should probably pay attention to. So thank you for coming up.
You're welcome.
Immortal, peace to you, brother. Welcome to the stage. I want to protect the minis from predators, but I don't know how. Help.
Yeah. Greetings, sister. Yeah, it's a tough road. I just, before I speak on the title, I want to kind of speak on, these relationship gurus in general. A lot of these relationship gurus who claim to be for Black empowerment. What I've noticed is they seem to have read a lot of the work done by, I hate when I have senior moments, Sister Dr. Shahrazad Ali. So these are guys, from my estimation, in my mind, these are guys who have gone, they've read her books, and they've back engineered it without the heart and soul of what those books were for. Because Dr. Shahrazad Ali, she put out books, kind of calling out some of the dysfunction that comes from the lady side of it. Books designed to help men understand what's going on in relationships. And in the beginning of one of her books, like in the introduction or the foreword, she explicitly says, I'm going to tell you a lot of things about Black women. I am one. So I'm going to explain a lot of things about them to you. But you don't use this. This is not an excuse for you to take this information and go out and do, and mistreat them with this information. And so a lot of times I feel like that's what's happening with some of these relationship guru types. Kevin Samuels is one of them I can think of. And like you were mentioning, his when you talk about Jason Black, his commentary, news commentary on politics and things of that nature, empowerment, is much different from his commentary on relationships. I never really subscribed to it because I don't look at people as commodities or merchandise. Like if you say, well, I'll put you in the discount bin, it gives you an idea of a person walking through a store and they got money in their pocket, so they get to make any choice in there they want. And, this human being is in the discount bin. I think the brother out of California used to be NWA. He had a daughter by a singer. I'm thinking about the DOC.
Eric Badu.
Erica Badu.
Yeah, he got a daughter by Erykah Badu, and she young. She out here messing and stepping in it, like young folks do. And there was he must have said something that the DOC didn't like about his daughter. And DOC, that was about the best show I ever heard of, the business. That's when DOC came in there and humbled old boy on how you talk about people, how you try to uplift people. What is the intention behind what you're saying? Are you trying to uplift people with this? Or you just, throwing salt on other people and all that? And DOC did not appreciate the way his daughter was being spoken of. And I noticed that Black Authority was very humble in that situation. I'd never seen him that humble before. And I ain't seen him that humble since. And that goes to, now let me segue into the protection of many predators. See now, DOC ain't got to worry about him talking about his baby no more, because DOC got means to take a flight, and DOC got cats that'll shut his mouth. That'll literally go where he is and shut his mouth. And it's different on this internet thing because you got people out here, they detached from the things that they say on here. They really are detached. I hear people say all the time, this is different. Oh, this ain't real life. And, in real life, I do this and that. And I think about how confused they must be not to realize that I'm sitting here in real life, holding a phone in real life, talking into it in real life, saying real shit. And if you see me, you'll see I'm a real person. If you were sitting across the street from me, looking at me, sitting in my car right now, you'd be like, okay, that's a real person. All this shit is real life. But they get a habit of, it's on the internet, and they're across the country, so I can just say and do anything. that can say and do anything. So they do. A lot of people are followers. They don't really care. They don't really have any kind of moral stability that'll tell them, hey, don't stand on your square. Don't do it like this. Don't do it like that. They don't have that moral compass. They weren't raised with it. A lot of these people on here wasn't raised with it. Protecting the minis from predators. I think our community, for the most part, outside of this app, like when you come off of social media and you go into the community, I think we do better than most. It's so much room for improvement in this regard. So it ain't like we're doing stellar. But I think, we are kind of better at it than most ethnic groups. I can think of a time where there was a man. This is a true story. There was a man, he lived in a neighborhood. And that man and his wife and kids and his wife and daughter lived there. Now, the wife died. And then the man started behaving strangely. His oldest daughter began to behave strangely. The boys in the hood, they figured something ain't right here. We seeing telltale signs of that girl being abused. And I think somebody might have, they didn't go to the girl and ask her, what's wrong with you? What has happened? No, they looked at her and knew what the fuck it was. They wasn't wrong. They was dead right. They was hit right on the nail. But they didn't go to the young lady who was being abused. They went to the guy and said, hey, man, I don't like how she be coming out the house. I don't like some shit I done seen in the yard. You going to have to, hey, man, you treading on thin ice. Mind your own business, blah, blah, blah. Okay. A few weeks later, the boys in the hood caught his ass outside, beat him so bad, put him in the hospital. Like to kill him. They beat him to the inch of his life, put him in the hospital. Now, when he got out, he thought he was going to, get back at it. He was still hurt, so he really couldn't do what he wanted to do, but he thought he was going to go for it. Like, look, the young girl by that time had turned 18. She left and took the kids out. He could have easily been killed. Matter of fact, they were trying to kill him, with their bare hands and feet, but he just survived. And so I've seen a lot of that, and then a lot of these unsolved mysteries. It's a lot of unsolved cases in the black community where people are being murdered, and I think that half of those, it'd be the police or some white supremacists, and so of course they ain't gonna solve it. But then the other half, the black Americans regulating the community, regulating it, and you never know why that person died. You never would know unless you understood the circumstances surrounding that person's death, unless you was in the community to know. So I think a lot of these guys get away with it. That doesn't match with this case, I don't think. But most of the time in the black community, when you see a predator getting away with harming young children or stuff like that, unfortunately, the victims, develop this Stockholm type of syndrome, and they'll kind of protect that predator in a way. Like the predator will put it in their head that if something happens to them, it'll be the victim's fault. And most of these victims are really good people. They don't really want to be the cause of anyone dying or anything like that. So they'll hold that secret, not all the time because to protect the person, but they just don't wanted to be responsible for a person's death. Because they know that they mama, they daddy, they brother, they cousin will go over there and kill that person. Just straight go kill them. And they don't want that. They don't want a member of their family to have to go to prison or something like that. They don't want the loss of that life on their conscience a lot. And it's wild that a person who has been abused that way, has the foresight and wherewithal to think that way. But yeah, in this case, you just got internet goofies that they don't care about nothing. They really don't. I was trying to tell my partner the other day, man, I ain't really trying to even promote what I'm doing in my city on this app because most people don't get, not everybody, I appreciate y'all that do. I know some that do, but y'all are the exceptions. The ones that care and that are sincere, y'all are the exceptions. Everybody else just trying to cloud up or something to do because they're bored or, just some kind of clout mechanism. So, yeah, I guess I rambled on long enough. Hopefully that made some sense to y'all.
Hey,
No, I did.
good evening, everybody.
Hold on, Fortune, hold on
Fame,
for a
Fortune
second. Yeah, okay, just hold on for a moment. Immortal, I appreciate you coming up because definitely it is a lot of goofies on this app, and it is hard to talk about the real stuff because that there's not a lot of people who are actually doing the work. So thank you for being a person doing the work. And
No problem.
shout out to Mona, you had something, go ahead.
I just kind of want to piggyback off of what the man said earlier, Immortal, we tend to protect the people that we like. We can see the people that we like do the most heinous things, and we will protect them. If we don't like you, we're telling immediately. I think one of the ways that we protect the minis from predators is because I was a single mother and because I was a hairstylist. My son was almost a latchkey child. You know, I would make sure he got to school. I had my phone number from my job, you know, in different areas of the home. I scheduled my appointments so I could be able to, you know, make sure that I was there when he was home. But then sometimes I wouldn't get home until 2, 3 in the morning. I think it's very important that you be transparent with your children. Make sure that your children are not afraid to speak to you. You know, when I picked him up from school, I was like, how was your day? You know, that was kind of like my intro. Did anybody say anything funny today? And of course, you know, they're going to share that. If anybody's, you know, anything bad happened today, you know, did anybody pick on you today? You know, you can talk to mama about anything to the point where now my son is 36 and it's TMI sometimes, but, you know, I have to laugh because I made him do that. So he's very comfortable in doing that. And I think we need to understand that a lot of our children nowadays are not allowed to be babies. They're not allowed to be innocent. You know, it's too much going on. So, you know, be open with your children. Let them know that they can come to you for everything. And remember that you once were a child too. You did some crazy stuff that you kind of got away with and you didn't get away with. But once they start telling you bad things, you know, don't be so quick to be angry. You know, one time my son and his little homeboys, they found a little cave and somebody stole the comforter off their mother's bed. Somebody stole some marshmallows and some hot dogs, and somebody had the lighter, you know, and so they had their little cave, you know, men only, and they made a fire, and they thought they put the fire out, and I'm at work and I get a call from my son. And actually also what I did with my son, I don't want anybody else to give me any bad information on you. If you did something wrong, I want it to come from you first. So he remembered that, and so he called me and he said, the fire department is going to be calling you. And I'm like, for what? We set the hill on fire. So, you know, having that open communication, open trust, letting them know that if they tell you something that they're not just going to be on punishment or reprimanded, or if you whoop your children or you take something away, you know, and have those open, clear conversations with your children. Because at the end of the day, if they can't trust their mothers and fathers for that sound advice, for that sound direction, they're going to be thrown to the wolves, and they're going to be trusting outside people that may not have their best interests at heart, because at the end of the day, nobody loves you more than your mother and your father. So I just wanted to throw that in.
And I thank you for throwing that in. And that was very timely. Look, the stuff y'all just been talking to me about, I just threw the fuck up. I feel like it just moved a lot out of me. And I just, that was kind of wild because I'm not sick or anything. But I do feel a little bit better about what we've been talking about because my minis matter, goddammit. And protecting the minis from the predators, I think that there is a very real conversation that people should consider when we have certain people around us influencing the things that we are doing. Whether you think that it's a good thing or a bad thing, you know, maybe there's more questions that should be asked and answered before introducing people who don't have the vocabulary to articulate what doesn't make sense as much as they just know that you're all in. So maybe they should be all in too.
Can I say one more
Jason,
thing?
I see you up here. Go ahead, Mona.
Okay, back to Immortal. He said one thing. Okay, here's my problem with it. When someone abuses you and he said, you don't want to get the other person in trouble. You don't want to get the person maybe hurt. The person maybe goes to prison. But we have to start thinking like this. You abuse me. Who who am I to think so lowly of myself that I would protect my abuser? We have to start telling these people, and people say, it's so hard, it's so hard. If you are abused, if something bad happens to you, tell it. You got to tell it. That's the only way that we're going to break the cycle. We make these people more important than we are, although we have been abused. We're sitting in our state of abuse while they're out here living their lives and going on to abuse others. So I know it's a difficult thing to maybe tell on your daddy or to tell on your favorite uncle, but we have to start telling, because we're damaging ourselves and we can be damaging others, other family members, because sometimes when I don't tell, 3 or 4 of my cousins have suffered the same abuse. And then I tell 20 years later. And then everybody comes out the closet, but the damage has already been done. And this person has been living a beautiful life. And here I'm in therapy. And here I am, I can't relate to me, and I have trust issues. So we have to start telling. And when somebody tells you something, believe it. Get those details. Go to that person, with that person. Hey, I got E right here. She said A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now what? What you got to say? Because see, people will lie behind your back. But when you have people face to face, confrontational, personal, not over the phone, not on the internet, then they have to be their authentic selves. Then you're going to sit in my face and lie. You're going to sit here and tell me that my child is lying, or my sister is lying, or my brother is lying. You have to tell it. You have to tell it for your own health. I'm done.
No, that's real. And I appreciate you being consistent because um, to a point I made the other day, the only person who gave me a warning by name was Jason Reid, who's up on stage. And I'm going to let you talk because I know you're at work. But I did want to get to Fortune, who was very eager to speak. So I hope Fortune has something very important to offer to the conversation. Go ahead, Fortune. The mic
Hey,
is
listen,
yours.
I
Do
may
you want
not
to
have
protect the
something
minis from the
important. I may
predators?
not have something important to offer, but I do got something that I think that will be worthy listening to.
Go
First of
ahead.
all, thank you so much,
Go ahead.
MDM. Eve, right? Did I say that right?
Eve is fine. Just Eve is
Just Eve
fine.
is right? Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for actually hosting me and giving me the platform for me to be here, and also to the speakers. I think it's Ilola, NYCT, and Jason Reed, Immortal, and Mona. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for letting me be here. I like this platform. First of all, Fortune Fame is what I hold as far as my profile, but Bantu is what I am, and Fortune Fame, and you go on my profile, you'll be able to see what I'm about, but that doesn't matter. What I am interested in, though, is the topic at hand, which is really it's really good, and I got some questions for it. And the first question is this: is that are we talking about taboos? And what I mean by taboos is that there's certain type of beliefs that we do got in our communities where, like how Immortal said and Mona said, that we withhold certain type of information, especially information. When it deals with people who we do care about, and if those people were involved or at least attempted to be involved in certain things that deals with abusing, the minis, and whether it's touch or whether it's emotional, whatever it is, we protect them. And what I mean by protecting is not saying that we deliberately do it, but we may sometime indirectly do it. And so my question is this: is saying that so how do we confront those taboos? You feel me? I'm gonna stop right there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question. I feel like it has been answered at least by Immortal and then seconded by people on stage, but um and then Mona just kind of spoke to it. If you know something, you protect them by telling people what happened so that they don't have to experience the same thing. My own personal experience right now is that there's a lot of people who've been harmed, but everybody was afraid of more harm. And to me, that's just wild because at what point is it too much harm? And then if you don't have that answer, then like Mona said, why are we so lost as a people? Why do we look at ourselves as not worth the effort, or not worth the protection? And then, maybe we've got some issues to work out there. But if those issues are not there, then I guess, if you are able to do something about the predators or abusers in your vicinity or in your family, then you would do like Nicey's parents and call the cops and put hands on, But I'm dealing with my minis being unprotected because of the situation that I've put them in with regards to people that I've held in esteem. And now I'm having to have the Santa Claus talk all over again, where Santa Claus is not real. And yeah, that was a big ass lie. And yeah, that was kind of fucked up because, I'm not really supposed to be out here lying to you, but here we are. And this is where we're going from there. I can appreciate that my minis are clever and have been able to pick up on things that I haven't articulated to the point where, again, they know what a threat is and they know how to handle threats. But I don't know that everybody's like that. So protecting the minis, if they can't articulate what's wrong with them, we're not having conversations like Mona talked about, then, you're kind of feeding them to the wolves. So I guess the answer would be communication would be the biggest thing that we would have to overcome. Like Mona said earlier, we've got taboos where we don't snitch on people. But if you're not going to snitch, then I guess you got to handle it. So, what handle it looks like, I guess, would depend on the situation and the people involved.
And I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, just I got two more questions if that's cool. Is it cool?
Yeah, I got some other people who want to come speak. And again,
Yeah,
Jason
they
is
could
at work.
actually they could.
You can stay up on stage though, and then I'll bring the mic back around to you.
Yep.
If you want, that's cool. We're cool with that. Jason Reid, are you at work? You want to go?
Hello, everyone. Hello, room. I got time tonight. Oh boy, do I got time tonight. So, apparently, Mr. Barbell Black is holding a broadcast on the business, and a brave brother, shout out to this brave brother, called in to challenge him about exposing our sister here, Eve, and her, what he did. And he couldn't get two words out before he was cut off, muted, and then hung upon, and then the clown show began. So my message to you is, and everybody else, is that most abusers are fucking cowards when men step to them. Never forget that, okay? A lot of abusers of people or people who take advantage of folks in our community are cowards when stepped to by men, okay? Shout out to the brother Mark who stepped to that brother on his broadcast, okay? Called him out on it, and he got hung up on quickly. I mean, quickly. He was muted so damn fast. And what's interesting is that was looking at the chat, and the chat was saying, "Hey, why'd you let him speak? Why'd you cut him off? Why'd you cut him off?" And then the clown show commenced. Jeremy is a coward. Okay, he's a coward. Okay, socially awkward coward. Okay, had everybody fooled. Those that know. Okay, but he's had everybody fooled, and those that want to continue to follow, and I know that they see what Eve has spoken about. They've seen what you and Dewan B and Judge Joe Brown were talking about. And people, if you continue, your people are showing their true colors. You can know those that will literally let somebody touch the kids, okay? Because they believe in whatever message that they say. The message is more important, but they forget that it's a message, not the messenger, that you should idolize. If you feel like the message is important, then follow the message. But the person delivering the message, you can always throw them away if they're, as you say, off code. It's amazing how people talk about being so goddamn on code. But when you have the person who's telling you to be on code, and that person is completely off code, how everybody forgets about being on code and what you're supposed to do, and about being accountable and holding niggas accountable. For some reason, we forget to do that. Okay, but I'm not going to do that. Like I said, I'm man enough to put my differences aside. Okay, I'm man enough to put away disagreements, okay, on certain things. We don't have to agree on everything, but one thing that we will agree on, and I will always stand 10 toes down on, is that you will not sit here and take advantage of our women, our children, or other people, okay? Take money from our people while you're abusing the people that put in so much time and so much effort. And a lot of these folks don't even get a crumb of, don't get a cent, not a dime, okay? They do it out of the belief of the community and the belief of being one and belief of getting things for everybody, okay, or what is owed to them. And for you to sit there and to abuse them, and then when they pretty much expose you or try to expose you, you try to run the gambit of bullshit games and ha kiki and jokes. And the jokes come before it was, oh, we don't joke around here, to let's crack jokes and call niggas gay and all this other stuff and throw people's numbers out there, and try to act like somebody is crazy and deranged and all that. I'm like, these are ploys. These are propaganda ploys, okay, to sit there and divert the conversation from what you're really trying to focus on. And that is, what did you do and how many others did you do it to? You need to be held accountable. We don't give a damn how you delivered the news to us for the last 10 years. Okay, you kick some hot fire, whatever. Anybody that can pick up can do some research and read. All it does is actually take you, all it takes is for you to actually read, and you can understand things. And there are other people that can deliver the message just as well, if not better. But if you're an abuser of those that have sat there and put in countless hours, sacrificed their time and their family's time to help you build a platform, to deliver a message to the people, but at the end of the day, you're an abuser and you're not really genuine with it. You're just using it as a ploy to big yourself up and feed your own selfish ego. Then you have to be brought down. And that's what I got. That's what I saw tonight. When a man went to challenge him, my man ran. He cut him off. He's a coward. Okay. Anybody that's listening, you can run, tell that nigga I said it. Okay. And you can run and tell that nigga that he will not dare mention my name. He won't. Okay. He's a coward.
I got a quick question, real quick. Host Reid.
Go ahead.
Now on this platform, is there any rebuttals? Can people do rebuttals?
You can rebut all you want.
I'm saying like
I don't know what you
freely,
would
as
be
in
rebutting.
communication, as if this is like a what you call it, a platform where people can actually be able to exchange
No, it's
ideas.
not like Clubhouse. No, it's not like Clubhouse. But My platform, I like to have constructive conversations. I don't like when people talk over each other, and I like the room to know that I have ADHD in a very big way. So all the shit that I just said will really mess my focus up. Outside of that, you can rebut, but I like order, people have their hands up, people might want to speak first, that type of thing. So just maybe hold your comment. But after Immortal, I'm definitely running right back to you. I'm sorry, not Immortal. I'm sorry, Immortal. For a moment, I got a new speaker, Parain South,
Paran.
who I'm unfamiliar with. I'm sorry, Parain.
Paran.
It's
Say it one more time.
it's French. It's from New Orleans
Paran.
primarily.
Ew, I see. Parain. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just messing. Go ahead.
So
Peace to you. Welcome to the stage.
thank you for having me on your platform. So when it comes to protecting kids, there are two main factors we need to really look at. One, our own trauma from previous generations, our own previous abuse, and how that's affected us to the point we are now. And number two is understanding all the systems, all everything we know in general, the things individually that break us and Black people apart day in and day out. So it's understanding how can we attack and address those issues with those systems and actually build a positive environment for our kids to grow up and develop and understand. For a lot of my elders, they didn't understand the world they grew up in is not the same world that I grew up in. So whether it comes, we can brag out titles and degrees and marriages, divorces, single mothers, fathers, high value men, and all this other stuff. And that stuff is cool. But when you put down all the ego stuff and all other stuff, at the end of the day, the actions that you did when you were on this earth is going to be your calling card. That's your face card. And a lot of people's face cards are not good. When it comes down to all the stuff people talk about, for me, if you're not willing to either die or kill about it, it's irrelevant at the end of the day. And that's just what stuff comes down to. All the women in my family know if anything happens to them, people are going to get hurt. That's it. There ain't no second guess or debate about it. There ain't none of that. That's just what men do. So when you look at the systems that have torn us down just in the last 50 years, you have these programs that were supposed to uplift us, and now it's ratchetness. It's not the best of Black culture. It's not like the Harlem Renaissance, the things that we had in New Orleans, Treme, one of the oldest Black neighborhoods. Actually, it's the oldest Black neighborhood in the United States. Treme has been around roughly for, I think, 300 years. So it was here before the United States was for a lot of these other colonies, when the Spanish ruled over us and when the French ruled over us. It's a certain set of Black people that are called Creoles down here. So you have native blood, you have French, Italian. It's a bunch of different mixes, primarily the Spaniards. So the Creoles in New Orleans are different from the Creoles in Haiti, but we have some of the same backgrounds, knowledge-based life experiences. So when I look at Detroit, it's the same as Baton Rouge, as New Orleans, as New York. We all have our own unique styles, our own unique history, but we are the people of this country. And when we stop putting excuses to the side and say, hey, man, pull your pants up, bro, it's just not a good look. So everybody talks about being on message and on code, but we get so distracted by these systems and the stuff that's tearing us down that we can't say, okay, what does the next future generation of Black leaders look at? Because we say a lot of stuff, but we don't live up to that same standard. And I'll return the mic.
Well, there you go. From New Orleans, we can appreciate the support and the words of encouragement, because some people down there by you got some issues, right? And I got some issues with those people who have these issues. Again, at the end of the day, my minis matter. Y'all's minis matter to me, and I thought that we was all family, right? So if we all family, then there's got to be a code of conduct amongst family. And then inside of that family, the code of conduct would include consequences. I'm just a lady, right? I can't be out here dishing consequences, but maybe that's why Barbell didn't put his hands on me, because I might have dished some consequences myself in real time. Because look, man, once people start a certain behavior, I think it's like an act of God for them to not do that type of stuff anymore. And so far, Barbell has not had his act of God or divine intervention as of yet. So all the women who've been calling me and telling me their sad story about how they've been harmed, I appreciate every single one of you, because I know that I'm not crazy. But I do know that if y'all don't say nothing, it's just going to be me out here looking all crazy, and then people getting hung up on for asking questions that should have very real answers. So shout out to Mark. Thanks, Jason Reid. Look, do you have that timestamp? Because I know that might get cut out the program. That program might come down, and then there won't be any evidence of Mark's support, and I'd like to keep that on record.
So Eva, before he gets that to you, I just want to let you know that Shreveport we consider that Arkansas. We do not consider that Louisiana. All right, so the people down there in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and that's Louisiana.
You funny. We got to stop this delineation between the states because y'all all the same people. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Maybe the people in New Orleans neither.
no, Eve, technically she's correct. So Lafayette, Opelousas, that region closer to Texas, that's one sector of Louisiana. Southeast Louisiana, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Port Allen, that's another sector. And then you have North Louisiana. It is three completely different cultures. Baton
Completely
Rouge and
different.
Baton Rouge and New Orleans are different. So that's like somebody from Harlem saying that they're the same from Queens. They both from New York, but it's two completely different boroughs, two completely different cultures.
I feel you, and I'm just throwing a little bit of jabs because that's the same everywhere, right? I mean, just California is like 11 hours long. Virginia's huge. We got all sorts of different tribes and cliques and shits that we're into. But at the end of the day, I feel like, wrong is wrong and right is right. And, if we can come across state lines to make these types of acknowledgments, then, we are that much further along in our fight for reparative justice. So thank y'all for for the corrections, and thank y'all for being patient with me as I fumble my way through the geography of this great land.
And that's
Thank you.
like right in
Immortal, you
that's
had
the
your hand
number
back up.
right there.
But Immortal, you there? I know I had you waiting for a little while. Did you lose your thought?
Oh, I was just gonna, uh, uh, agree with Sister Mona about the necessity for speaking out when these types of things happen. But I also have to reiterate that's easier said than done for most victims, especially when they're women. Shit, men too. Actually, let me not even say that. Men too. So a lot of men running around here that's been victimized as children, and they'll never tell. They'll never tell the truth, and they go around here acting weird, And I've seen kind of what you were pointing out earlier in a tweet. You're like, man, I told you all this, and then here you are doing this. I just think that from that same person, like this person, this person just went over here and did this, that, and the third to this woman. Lied on her, talked about her bad. And here you are giving him accolades. And then when I tell you, no, don't give him no accolades. He's not worthy. Then you cuss me out, talk all kind of violence toward me. So yeah, we do need to speak out. But I understand that for the many victims, especially if they're young, that's easier said than done. It's just got to be done. We got to be more vigilant, to be watchful too. We got to be more vigilant. We can't just always depend on the victim to let us know what's going on. They being psychologically abused, physically abused most of the time, different things like that. So we have to be on the lookout for our women and our children and our boys, steadfastly, So that's all I have.
You didn't. The crazy thing about this whole thing is that there's not enough resources in our Black communities to target this. In fact, if you even talk about it, you may be shut down. And I think this has been covered. I mean, I just got here. I've been on this platform for about like 20 minutes. So there's a huge possibility that this has been covered. But I will repeat this, and I will say that the resources in our community is not enough.
I appreciate your words of encouragement, Fortune. I'm gonna have to push back there because people keep saying that the Black community is tantamount to a damn country with regards to our resources, and that's without us getting reparative justice. That's just with us scraping pennies and turning a dollar into two, just with our ingenuity, creativity, resilience, and ability to work hard under the gun. Now, what I will say is that the resource that we're not using, that we've been talking about all night, has been our voice. We, Black people across the world, have been used as the biggest cash cow in a sense that, we can be used and then not expect anything in return. There's no quid pro quo, at least not in a big way, to the point where you got niggas voting for Joe Biden because he's, on the blue side of things, and people fighting us saying that, you don't have to vote for that other guy either because neither one of them fuck with us. So, our voice is a very free resource that could be used to fight what it is that we're fighting if people wanted to use their resource. But like Mona was talking about earlier, it's a lot of self-confidence issues going on. It's a lot of hurt and trauma that people are trying to deal with. So, the voice kind of gets muffled, I guess. And
And I appreciate
to
that.
that
I
point,
appreciate that. And I think that's when it comes down to saying that we're so divided though, like ideologically, we're so divided to a point where there is no solidarity itself is only a dream. It can't be.
yeah, I feel you. And I don't want to belabor your point because I feel like it's been made a few different times about, how we should communicate more, and then, we are a resources deprived people. I can't say that we're divided as much as niggas across the world have been divided since the beginning of time, and niggas don't like to read. So we've got this disconnect from our story just because people don't want to read what's out there. But in real time, I can say that the tether everybody loves to hate has spoken up for me, in addition to, Black Americans who've spoken up. And I think that that's being pretty on code or not divided. We can be on the same page about some things the same way that I'm asking people to be on the same page about reparations. Everybody that looks like me is owed, but from whom and when? That those are questions that matter once we start having those conversations. But I appreciate you coming through. Mona, you're unmuted. Did you want to say something before I throw the mic to Hard Black Truth?
Yes, real quickly.
Go ahead.
Immortal says something about it's hard for the people to tell. That's what the predator banks on. They bank on you not telling. I think we, as parents, we have to send out a strong message that I don't play when it comes to mine. That means you take it to the school, you take it to the job, you tell the family, I don't play when it comes to mine. F around and find out. I think the gentleman that said we don't have enough resources, I think that is an excuse. Resources versus morality. What is your morality? Morality does not have a price on it. It does not take resources to be just, to be right, to do people the way you want to be done, to not want things to happen to you and yours that is happening to somebody else. I'm sorry, I'm getting very emotional. I have to agree with Jason Reid. There's a bunch of cowards in our communities that are masquerading as leaders. You have to care about people being human beings. Nobody is above the law. I don't give a fuck who they call themselves. Everybody gets wrong to the table. Wrong is wrong and right is right. And when they're wrong, who are you to say, oh, we ain't talking about me. We talking about that person. Because at the end of the day, the person that can tell you about all your problems and all your issues probably has some of the biggest issues on the planet that they're masking by telling you what's wrong with you, so that you will never tell them what's wrong with them. We need to use our voices. We need to let it be known that we protect ours. We need to let our children know that, hey, what's happening every day? Every day, what's going on? How was your day? We have to do it. Because the predator, I'm going to kill your parents. I'm going to do this. Hey, I must be a different type of woman because I'm telling. And at the end of the day, I'm going to put it like this. If you tell me, I'm telling. If you come to me with a problem, you don't want a resolution, don't tell me, because I'm going to probably solve it without you even knowing it. And we have to have those type of people that say they about it. You about it, you speak about it, but your actions show you differently. That's it.
Can I chime
Exactly.
in real
That's why I
quick?
had to push back a little bit.
Real
Well,
quick.
I kind of want to get to the
I
Hard
know,
Black Truth because
I know,
he's
I know.
had
I
his hand up
just real quick.
patiently.
I know, real quick. I posted the clip. It's in the chat. If you want to put it on the big jumbotron, you can do that. But if you want to clip it, get it before he removes it. Okay, that's it. That's all I got to say.
And I do appreciate your diligence in getting that right. Like, look, a lot of people who listen to this man, if you don't actually do the things that he's saying, your life is going to look exactly the way that it looks. But if you actually listen to him and do some of the stuff that he's talking about, then you would learn to be thorough, collect evidence and receipts. And then, maybe we are a more prepared people because we're paying attention to everything and not just what we're being told to pay attention to. So thank you for that. Let me just see what this is looking like. The Hard Black Truth, are you there?
I am.
All right. Just wanted to make sure you were there. And Jason Reid, your clip doesn't have any audio, maybe. I don't know. It's not playing for me, though. So can you check that out for me? Hard Black Truth, go ahead. The mic is yours.
All right. Well, first and foremost, I humbly come to you, Sister Eve. I'm gonna be honest, and I hope you guys will just allow me to minutes or so that I'm going to speak to say I have not had positive things to say about what I've seen on this app, and some of it coming from you. But at this point, it's neither here nor there. If I can just kind of gloss over that, if you'll allow me. I did want to give a shout out to Sister Mona Lachey because she's really like the one reason I came up in the space. And she, she had like a little post or something a while back, years back, talking about abuse. And, I kind of chimed in with that. So I'm happy to see it just wasn't like a fluke or one off. Like Sister is on that. And even when I do tune into Facebook every now and then, she's been on that. With all that being said, you guys know me. For those who do know me, I've been avid with the whole B1, Black First, and all of that shit. I think it's wrong that I've seen your cheeks, Sister Eve. I laughed. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed. I thought that's
I apologize. My cheeks are not a laughing matter, and I can't get past that. So the hard black truth, I'm not going to allow you to speak anymore, and it's only because there's a time and a place for jokes, and this is not that time. To a point that you made, let's go there. I am not the easiest person to get along with. I've never espoused myself to be. I am just Eve, and I've always been me, to the point where me and Jason Reid have had our own issues and differences. Me and Mona have had our own issues and differences. I've even fucking had issues with Isla because she calls me out on my shit, and sometimes I'm not necessarily ready to hear it. However, I'm not immature, I'm not stupid, and I like to think that I'm a person who can grow from my experiences. To this point, I'm never not going to delineate, not until we get what's owed, because I think it's very important that a lot of niggas that is not from here who look like me are going to get something that's not for them, and I don't think they're going to give it back. So that's just my personal feeling about delineation. But I'm I guess what Dr. Short would call a reciprocal Pan-Africanist, if we're going to have to label ourselves. And that just means, if you're not fucking with me, then I'm not fucking with you. And if you're speaking about the shit that I'm speaking about, then we're probably on the same side of things. So to the favorite person that everybody loves to hate in the room right now is Jason Reid. This man knows that reparations are owed for Black Americans in this country. He understands that white supremacy is a bitch, and he supports the Black family. I can't not support a person who speaks like that.
Hey,
Everything else is personality and the cult of personality that we deal with all the time.
hey, this is Sean.
Oh, what's up,
Hey,
Shantae?
what's up? Quick thing.
No, it's Jason got a girl voice now.
I know,
basically.
right?
Go ahead.
It's a sexy, sultry voice, right? No, quick thing. Who's just laughing the fact that laughing at something that was illegal? Who was that again?
That was the hard black
Okay.
truth. And he tried to say that we have issues because of some other shit, but it's maybe because you laugh at shit that's not funny. And I don't know how to separate some of this stuff. But I could just be an immature person in this matter, right? I'm scorned.
Because I'm petty too. So can I laugh at the fact that a few months ago he was on Facebook crying about how his life isn't progressing, how he's seen everyone else being successful, or how like a few years back he was struggling and he was unemployed. I think he had to work at a Burger King or something. Can I laugh at that? Is that funny? I just want to know. Can I laugh at that?
I mean, I'm petty, so
can we all laugh at the fact that a few weeks ago he was saying that how he is stuck somewhere and everybody else is progressing? I see the stuff. I don't say nothing. But can we laugh at that? But if what Jeremy did to you is hilarious, I think that's like that should be on he deserves a Netflix comedy special of his rants on Facebook. Then if it's so fucking funny to laugh at somebody being humiliated. Or am I wrong? Am I stupid? I don't know. Tell me. You the teacher.
no, I mean, everybody's allowed to feel like how they feel, right? And just I have the mic mute button, right? Isla does too, but she doesn't use it as much as I do. You're not going to come in here and laugh at my pain. I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. And really, I'm only fighting for my life, our life. Our reparative justice is not fucking funny. So you can be honest if you want to be honest, but just know that my honest response to your retarded situation that you just had on my space is going to be to mute you and then remove you, because I don't have time for that shit. And actually, let me just put this out there, and then Shantae, you can finish your point. Immortal, I see you. I'm gonna bring you back up. And I see your hands up, so I'm gonna let you talk first. But I've gotten a lot of messages from quote unquote well-meaning niggas who say the same shit. It was crazy that happened to you, but them cheeks was looking kind of nice, or I thought it was funny because Jeremy's just so fucking funny. There's nothing funny about dismantling the work that we've been doing. To the point where I will always remind people that in my fucking state, there's only 4 of us. And if you knock me and my dude out because you don't want people to pay attention to us, well, now it's 2. And as it stands, California had a whole fucking fumble with their opportunity to make sure that we've gotten direct cash payments. And I'm not saying that that's the people as much as I know it's the people in charge of the people. But as it stands, my state is actively trying to do something, and I'm actively trying to make sure that shit gets done. And if you are out here laughing at the fact that my ass is on the internet for all these white people that don't fuck with us to just happen to randomly go online and might see some shit, like, fuck you. Disrespectfully. But
No, exactly. No, exactly. I completely agree with you. Like I said, I'm here to support you, and it's just sometimes when people say disgusting things, I guess the buzzword is it triggers me, and it gets a very bad reaction because I just see you as a victim, and in the other victims I've been hearing about, they're scared to speak up, which they shouldn't have nothing to be scared of because they are in safe places. Little man ain't gonna do nothing. He's not. But just paint a one narrative to his little fuck boys that thinks it's funny to laugh at revenge porn. Your life ain't even together, sir. Get your shit together. Take care of your family first. How about you do this? Buy a house, get your credit straight, and then you could probably laugh at some revenge porn because that's an evil spirit you have, and your karma is hitting you because of that spirit. And that's all I got to say. I'm going to give it back to my husband. You guys have a good night. And just, ladies, don't be afraid to speak up because you are not in any danger. You are not. No one's going to be behind your front door, hiding in your bushes, trying to attack you. No one is. You need to make your story known, and you need to put this little gremlin business out there. That's it. Good night, ladies.
Thank you for those words, Shantae. Go ahead, Nicey.
Thank you again for letting me speak. That rubbed me wrong. Yeah, that just wasn't cool. Goofy nigga shit, but I digress. Protecting our minis from predators. I think one of the things that I recall hearing years ago, but I'm sure some of you can relate, hearing, oh, that hot tail girl. And sometimes she may be called a hot tail girl because she's young, but she's developed. She's a little curvier. She got boobs a little quicker than, the other girls her age. So she was automatically labeled the hot tail girl. And then the predators in the neighborhood or in the family, right, used that against her. So they were able to take advantage of her. And then you have the people in the family not protecting her because she's the so-called hot tail girl just because she developed a little quicker, a little curvier, what I'm saying, than the girls her age. So I thought about that, right now because I've heard that being said, and not necessarily in my family, but I just remember hearing something like that. I don't know where from, but that hot tail girl thing just stands out to me. And victims of predators are being made responsible for predator behavior because she's developed early. And I'll leave it there.
No, that's real. Honestly, I think that stereotype comes from some slavery shit. I want to say it's Sapphire, maybe is the name, but I'm not really good with that stuff. There's a lot more knowledgeable people who have this information, but I do think that is a layover from when we were in bondage type shit and having to deal with these people from that aspect. And then, certain people getting accolades, benefits, trinkets, resources because of what they were doing, not necessarily because they were more developed or whatever, but because of their access to, and then having to survive under all that shit. Pimping and hoeing, people want to say that that's some shit that's removed from us, but if you know what we've been through, then you would know that that's part of our story too. and then people would use that to do whatever the fuck they're going to do. So I think that's what we're dealing with right now is the culture of trying to normalize things that are quote unquote normal, but aren't right. So while the shit happens, is it supposed to happen? And then when it happens, what is the response? Because right now, I see a lot of goofy shit. So, Fortune, the reason you're not back up on stage is not because I had anything to disagree with what you said publicly, but in the comments telling me that I should debate his idea versus just muting him sounds like you don't understand the severity of the crimes of the person of which we speak. So maybe just listen and don't talk so much. To the people who know what the fuck is going on, thank you for your caution and care of the situation. Because again, my minis matter. This nigga did not care when he exposed me, and my 5 children are in the wake of all of this. And having to have certain conversations before I'm ready to have these conversations has been a task. But I got tough skin, and I have an excellent support system. My man is wonderful. So I guess it's probably good that I have a mute button, because when men have issues, oh, ladies in the room, when men have issues, I've seen in real time us get in the way of the consequences. So then, we've got what we talked about. People don't want certain family members to get hurt because of their relationship to them or, of what they're providing. So maybe you just be quiet because that's how the bills are getting paid or that's how y'all are eating. So if he's only knocking you around every other day, maybe that's better than getting knocked around every day, right? We start to make accommodations for certain behavior because of what we're going through and having to deal with. I say that, we're stronger than that. If people speak up about what the fuck is wrong. But if you don't say something's wrong, then it's not wrong. Isn't that where we are? Like, if you don't say something about it, then you're accepting it. And this is where we are until somebody can prove me wrong. But until then, the minis didn't have a choice in being here. And especially what I say about fighting for what's ours, not wanting them to have this fight. I really mean that. So protecting them from what we've had to go through as adults. The fact that we've had to fight a fight that's not ours. White people tell us all the time, I didn't own slaves, so why should I have to pay the debt? There's no slaves around, and not knowing that I think here in Virginia, there was people who were still locked in the 1800s, essentially, not really free until the 60s and the 70s, and that's not that long ago. So, slavery and the mentality that's brought from it, a lot of people have not come to terms with what we've actually experienced. So then they can get bamboozled by a person who can talk really well, by a person who studies people, by a person who knows what we've been through. And I think that, with those lenses, maybe we can make a more constructive conversation. But if you want to get hung up on some bullshit, then I do have a little bit of time tonight. So, we can do that. If anybody wants to tell Jeremy to come through the space, he could. He used to come to my spaces. Y'all remember? Jeremy used to be here. Okay, anyway. Immortal, you came back up. Did you have something else you wanted to add? Anybody on stage, if you don't have anything to add, I'm gonna go ahead and drop you down. But if anybody in the room wants to speak, you can come up and speak. I have some more words about what we've been talking about, so I'm cool with however anybody wants to do this. Go ahead, Immortal.
Yeah, so I was listening, and then I heard when the guy said he was laughing, and then that's when I couldn't hear anything on the stage anymore and all this. I had to restart my phone and all this. So I'm not surprised to come back and hear the conversation went how you mentioned. It's something wrong with some of these people on this app. Some of these people on it, it seems like this social media app and others really kind of is like a magnet for people who are sociopaths. Like a sociopath can't feel. They can't feel that this is wrong. They mimic feelings. Now, a sociopath will mimic feelings of a regular person, but they have none. So they don't care nothing about your kids, mine, none of that. They can't feel it. Then you got others who are narcissists, and that's even worse. Their minds don't work, like regular people's minds work. If you look those people up, sociopaths and narcissists, and I think there's a culmination of those types of personalities. Like this, it's like a lot of these social media apps just draw on those type of personalities. Because what's funny about that? The dude said, "Oh, well, I laughed." What's funny? And I listen to some of these spaces that I go into, And they call themselves telling jokes and they call themselves being funny, but really all I hear is people saying the most mean-spirited things that they can to each other in order to induce some sort of psychological harm. I really sit there. Sometimes I listen. I study them, what they saying. Sometimes I try to interject and say, "Hey, that's mean-spirited," or "Nah, you ain't acting like a Black American right now." Well, that right there, Black Americans, we ain't known for laughing at stuff like that. We're not known for that. You know, this internet is weird. I wish we could just get back to acting like we act when you might see me at the grocery store. See, then you won't come around on a call and say, "Oh, I thought it was funny." Oh, you thought that was funny, huh? I see you at Sunday school. You know what I'm saying? I see you at church Sunday then, since you thought that was funny. I see you at the club that we go to, Saturday night, and then you can explain why that was so funny to you, to my face, and type stuff. And I think we really need to start respecting one another. As for me, I'm just going to quit dealing with people. If you're on this app and you ain't talking like you would talk in person, and you're not moving like Black Americans move when we're in a community around each other together, my block list already long. It's going to get longer. But he's real. That's some sort of sociopathic type thing. Oh, I thought it was funny. Like, cuz, what's funny about that? So anyway, that's my soapbox on that.
Mona.
I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Immortal. We have two separate Black communities. We have the social media Black community that has a lot to do with trauma bonding. People are trauma bonding. Some people are not the beautifulest. Some people are not the handsomest, if that's a word. Some people are not athletic. Some people are not musicians. So they may be smart. They may be intelligent. So they gravitate to a space where people are allegedly smart. And then we have the real Black community. It's very important for us to really take a lot of things that are going on social media and that a lot of comments and advice that we get, because we were never meant to be bombarded with so many different opinions. I live in California and I don't know the opinions of, my next door neighbor. But on social media, we got hundreds and thousands, even millions of people, with their input, with their perspectives, with their expert analysis that may be kind of biased to what I think somebody else said earlier, their own personal traumatic experiences. And it may not be a right fit. It might just be them venting and trying to get some payback by any means necessary. We have a Black community that's been overshadowed by social media. Social media has become the devil. Like Immortal said, say that to my face. We got a lot of keyboard gangsters out here that think that they can say anything that they want to say and harm anybody that they want to harm because you can't be found. You're way 2,000 miles away. And I have to agree with the young lady. It's nothing funny about what happened to you, Eve. Like I said, at the time, me and you wasn't really fooling with each other for, what we know that happened. But when I saw it as a sister, I took offense to that. It was like that happened to me. And I actually said to Jason Reid, I'm very vocal. If you go to my page, most of the time people don't even fool with me because I say what's on my mind. I say what's on my heart. And I don't know everything. I'm a reactionary, but get mad if you want to. Maybe you'll change for the better. This right here shows, okay, let's go to Patreon. Patreon is supposed to be, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the place where you can go and speak your mind, where you won't get doxxed, where you won't get demonetized, where you can say some stuff that you normally couldn't say on the normal YouTube channel. So you have to pay a subscription to get into this Patreon. So that lets you know that a lot of these niggas, and I'm talking about men, excuse my language, but I gotta go here. A lot of these niggas claiming B1, and a lot of these niggas claiming to be Black and intelligent. A lot of these niggas that's claiming to be leaders, they shit don't stink. They don't do no wrong. It's the Black woman that tore up the Black community are a bunch of frauds, fakes, and cowards. Because that was supposed to stay in that space. And inside of that space, it should have been a nigga or a few or a many that said, nigga, you wrong. Now we got men out here saying that they wish the women would speak up for Eve. This ain't a woman thing. And we always seem to be on the front line, although they always talking shit about us. We always coming to Black men's rescue. And you can get mad at me if you want to. This is a man issue. This is a leadership issue. This is a moral issue. Something terrible, heinous. The internet is forever has happened to Eve. Her children can pull this up years and years and years after she's gone. This is a man problem. These men, this shit should be fucking viral. If something happened to me, hee hee ha ha, that shit would have been viral. If something would have happened to Jason Reed, niggas would have been posting, sharing, commenting, and everything. This is a man issue. It's time for men to step up. The men that say they're about the community, the men that say that they're about holding people accountable and responsible. This is a man shit. Men should be putting this nigga on blast. Point blank, period. That's all I got.
Fire. Fucking
Yeah, you
fire.
need to be on blast. And they are cowards. Because I guarantee you, out of all the women in Shreveport, he'll never do that to a woman that lives in Shreveport. You're a whole coward. You know what? You know, this shit is crazy, but I agree with what you said, Mona. It is a man problem. Men supposed to be regulating this.
And I'm with you right there, Immortal, because like I said, differences aside, me and Eve can have disagreements. But as soon as I heard this shit, I was like, all right, that shit's to the wayside. I don't, whatever. That's bullshit that we might be, that's irrelevant what we might have a disagreement about. This shit right here, as a man, that cannot be allowed to go down and be okay. And people just be like, and niggas is giggling and kiki-keying and whatever. And, oh, where did he post it at? Where can I see the pictures at? Because that was some of the comments as well. Was like, where can we see the? Her ass was out there. Where can we see that? Like, nigga, are you for real? You for real? Like, those were some of the comments. Okay, and like I told her, I said, and I tweeted earlier. I heard a 4-hour broadcast between Eve. They had Judge Joe Brown and Dewan B. And Judge Joe Brown and Dewan B. And I said it. Me and Dewan B. have had little Twitter spats back and forth. It ain't nothing. I don't take nothing personal. Okay, but we had a little Twitter spat. But shout out to that brother, one of the first brothers that literally went out there and was like, "Nah, that's some bullshit. That's some fuck nigga shit. That's some bullshit. That shouldn't be happening." Okay, Judge Joe Brown said that. Okay, and I'm echoing that. I need more black men, those with the blue check marks that you pay for your fucking blue check mark or whatever. Get up on there and call this Negro out. He should not have a voice if he violates a black woman, especially one that put in so much time and effort away from her family and her kids just to help spread this message. You need to put this nigga on blast. He does not deserve a platform. We have other people that can deliver messages. Okay, there are other people that can do that. And the fact that he's, you got a group of little incels that want to co-sign the bullshit that he's on. I can't co-sign that. I can't. I rode with him. I did a lot of stuff, but after a while, it was like, nah, that fucking that channel, the business, that ain't about building black unity. That ain't about building black families. That ain't about building shit, but tearing down the women and putting this weird ass frame of thinking in the minds of our men. Okay, because right now he's literally trying to tear down this whole marriage between Sierra and Russell Wilson. And I'm like, nigga, you ain't even in these people's pay grade to even keep talking about them all the goddamn time. Okay, because a lot of us ain't even in that tax bracket. We get in where we fit in, and you find somebody that you are compatible with, that's willing to work with you and have a relationship with it, that y'all can build a family and raise some kids and try to do better for the community. You ain't got to be this high value man bullshit talk. Not everybody high value, and not everybody has the capabilities of making that money like that. They just can't. Okay, circumstances won't allow them to. You just do the best that you can, and if you find somebody that can do that with you, you work with that person, you build that bond with that person, you do the damn best that y'all can for a community, and that's how you progress forward. Everybody can't be a top earner. Everybody can't. It just doesn't work like that. But we got to help each other, and then we have to stand 10 toes down when somebody violates somebody in the community to protect that. And as men, and I'm calling men, I don't give a fuck where you come from. Okay, I don't care. Those who can mute me, turn me off, or block me because I'm not from here, I don't care. I'm black, and I'm saying as black men, we have to hold that Negro accountable, because what he did is absolutely, totally unacceptable. I don't care how you feel about Eve, okay? Dropping her nudes of a woman, regardless, something that she sent in private, putting that shit out there like that for your little goofy ass audience is not acceptable. And I can't be the only one, and I'm glad I'm not the only one, but I don't want to be the only one. I need more of our brothers, and it's not on the women to come out and say that. Mona's exactly right. This is a man issue. So I need my brothers to use your platforms and put it out there. That's all I have to say. I'm off the stage, man.
Rain, did you have something you wanted to offer? Because I think I saw your hand, but then it went back down.
Yeah. So this is the goofy and weirdo shit that we be talking about. Like when people say sticking to the code, being the standard, this is the bullshit that we see constantly. Like dudes saying, I'm a real nigga, I'm a street nigga, yada, yada, yada. And dudes just disrespect his sister. This is why I don't get on the spaces. I don't do all that rah-rah shit and all this other stuff, bro. And it pisses me off when I see dudes like this, because these are the echo chambers that we get stuck in. Instead of him saying, hey, Eve, I have an issue with this, 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 and this, and these points that you made, and I have these certain character views, whatever the fuck he was trying to say. He came from a disrespectful point on some unnecessary shit that he didn't even have to bring up. And that's the problem with a lot of people. We look for these clean-cut images of who we need to be and all this other stuff. And then people get into their egos and what they have done and all this other bullshit that's in the past, instead of saying, hey, these are the issues. Just like you created the space tonight, say, what can we do to focus on to get the environment straight for these kids, so these kids aren't being abused, what have you. So they're not even put into these type of situations. And a lot of this stuff does fall on black men's hands down. You got to be a good man, good father, brother, sister, all of that stuff. But when it comes down to it, it's guys like these. When I say dude's a bum, these are the type of dudes we talking about. He's just like a Ray Ray or Pookie, what have you. I'm not talking about the dude that says, hey, I just want to smoke a little weed. He gets a misdemeanor charge that ends up being upgraded to a felony. Now this dude can't become a high value man because he couldn't say, hey, I need to vote to legalize weed and move to a state that weed's legal, because he doesn't know the legal system. He hasn't been taught this stuff. And it's people like that that break us up. If you go back and look at history and look at, I think it's Booker T. Washington versus another gentleman, I think it was Carver, if I'm not mistaken. And their idea was basically, you got the black elites that it's 10% of our society that's supposed to rule over the rest of us. And they had a heated debate. And this is, I think, the early 1900s, if I'm not mistaken. But this is what happens when people try to have these intellectual conversations and all this other stuff, and they don't start with respect and dignity. It's zero play in it. There's zero room to say, oh, well, you did this and that, especially on a private matter like that. It's fools like that that you have to just X out and just say, you know what, we putting you over here. You're just excommunicated from the group. That's the cousin that you don't let around the party, around the friends. That's the dudes you got to watch. And you got to put that label on them fools and leave them where they at.
Real talk. I think you're talking about Booker T. Washington and W.B. Du Bois.
Correct.
And definitely, ideologies matter, right? And then I think when people know what people are about in an honest way, then people can support things if they want to support it, and don't support it if they don't want to support it. I'm saying very plainly that the black family is the win. I've been saying this for a little while, and I think that it's the win because that's what they try to break up. When that's what they try to break up, then we have to pay attention to, the different things around us that are influencing said breakups. I always had a disconnect between the two channels, but because I understand that we're complex people, I don't think that we all have to do it the same way. I don't think everybody's going to get married. I don't think everybody's going to have children. I don't think that some people who have children are supposed to, and I think that some people who don't are supposed to. I think that there's a lot of nuances with us, but at the end of the day, there are some things that are unexcusables. Like, for one, if you fuck a kid, you should die. And I don't know if it's me or you or somebody's going to have to take care of that. I don't see that happening enough. But, there's consequences for, when you take care of people like that. But that's just, how I feel. But to that point, I don't know anybody who's fucked no kids, so I can't actually put my money where my mouth is and handle that if I were going to do that. Maybe my dude would do that. I don't know. That's how I feel about, if you fuck a kid. I think that not knowing that we're owed a debt is not something that you should be stoned for, but once you learn about it, then you should do better. Dr. Short talks about like two different types of people. You got people who are harmed by their parents and people who are not harmed by their parents. And I would really like to be a person who doesn't harm my minis, but I have to be accountable for the experiences and the exposure. But to the same point where I fight with my parents all the time, they want my minis to go to Disney World and watch cartoons and just a whole bunch of shit that makes sense because you're a kid, right? But like Mona was talking about, you watch Doc McStuffins. And Mona, that wasn't even what I picked up on that damn show. I picked up on the fact that the baby had the gay, I don't know, somebody ended up being gay. And I was just like, why is this in the show? And, pretty much that is a reason for me to turn the show off once you start introducing gay to the children, because that's not appropriate, at least to me. So, I think that we have to have a level of discernment like we've been talking about when it comes to protecting them, but communicating like we've been talking about. If you don't tell them that there's a scary person in the room and then you're not acting like a person who's afraid, then they're not going to be afraid. They are very much a reflection of us in more than one way. So again, my minis matter, and protecting them from predators, like people who think that my ass on the internet is funny, whether or not you have an issue with me or not, that's a person that I would need to protect them from. That's a person I hope that y'all would protect them from. And, this conversation tonight kind of started with Nikki and her husband and how she kind of has been standing by him, even though he's been a person who might not need to be around children. But then it had me thinking about the fact that Black women get in the way of consequences sometimes. I've seen well-meaning men get murdered because they stepped in for a woman who didn't need that type of protection because she was on some other shit. And I don't want that to happen either. But I'm a woman, right? Mona says that this is a man issue and that these niggas is running rampant because niggas is not saying anything. And I can't disagree with her. But Mona, do you agree that sometimes we get in the way of the consequences that need to be dealt?
Absolutely, because we are emotional. We are the first teachers of the babies. We are the nurturers. We are the, we really are the first protectors. Here's the thing that I want us all to be aware of. There are people on the internet disguised as relationship gurus, experts, what have you, that are exploiting your trauma for monetization. They really don't give two shits about you. They give a damn about those likes, those views, those super chats. They don't care how they have to harm you. It's a cold ass game out here, and we keep falling for the traps. If you're surrounded by somebody that's not solution based, then you don't need to be around them. Everybody doesn't have the answers. Everybody is not correct. Everybody makes mistakes, but for the people that people sense, when you think somebody is more intelligent than you, when you think somebody is more ambitious than you, when you think somebody has accomplished more than you kind of get shy. Your voice kind of gets lower. You give them a pass because you think they're better than you because of materialistic things. But we have to get back to morality and principles and values and respect and accountability and responsibility, and nobody is above that. And we can't let these people who think they make more money than us and they know more than us get away with this bullshit. We got to shut it down. We got to shut it down. And here's the thing, what I don't understand, why so many people, hundreds and thousands, millions of people are afraid to use their voices for a person they don't even fucking know, that they have never seen. And they will take this person's word like the Bible. We have to see, there's a lot of children that are being born, but a lot of children are not being raised. A lot of children, we talk about the modern woman and the modern man, and that was 20 years ago. We're not traditional anymore, but some of those traditional values, they need to be set in stone. And it's the reason why our ancestors had a sense of humanity versus what we see today. We got to stop the fighting. We got to stop the bickering. We got to stop the using of each other. We have to give these children some type of foundation so that they know right from wrong. We have to let them know that they should use their voices when things are wrong. We got to stop the madness. We can't let people continue to get away with exploiting our people, because we have a lot of people out here that are looking for a savior, that are looking for a leader, that are looking for a mother figure or a father figure, and they're honed into your every word, and they really want to believe that what you're saying is true. And that's how we get caught up. When you think you've met your tribe, when you think, oh God, I've been B1 all my life and I finally found my family, and you heard something that didn't kind of sound right, but that overall message is what I've been looking for. And we start making excuses, and those little excuses turn into big excuses. And now this nigga is foul. But what about all the things that he said in the past? What about all the things that he's done? And what about all the things that are the people that he helped? Fuck that shit. You wrong today, you get handled today. Point blank, period.
I'm sick and tired of these same old broke bitches. No job, all they wanna do is smoke swishes. Get some money, ho. Why you wanna watch mine? Ain't no telling what I'm gonna be dropping next time. 750 nigga, we gon' buy the bottom hole. Pull up the paperwork, tell the owner he can go. Walk like a pimp, bitch, talk like a soldier. I got New York like a candy painting the big hole. Say 200, but it go a little over. Not the Corvette, the Ferrari, just the Rosa. We can get on any point on the dice. Pick 'em up, shake 'em twice, get 'em cold. I'm nice. I'm so clean with my G unit kicks on. I might be going in like she get home. If you don't like me, say it to my face. Just because I got a case don't mean you can't be a race. It must be the ice or the money that I make. They talk about how my bank, but they
shit. I appreciate y'all vibing with me. Sometimes the music speaks a little bit better than I can, and as it stands, I try not to reinvent the wheel. But hey, babe.
Peace, peace, my Just Steve, and peace, family. I just wanted to come up here. I've been listening to this tonight, and I thank people for speaking up. And we at a critical point right now, and I ain't gonna be long. But this guy Bishop TD, Jason Jeremy, bitch ass black, he's very off code. Personally, very off code. And he has consequences for that. You have to move out the way. When you're in the way, you have to move. And personally, on another end too, because our family, our FBA lineage, our black people, when you shit on us like how some of the stuff you've been doing, like it's hard to articulate, but there will be consequences. And when you off code, you got to move. And like he said, you got to watch these old niggas like him. So, and Eve, I heard that people talking, and this is a man issue, and a lot of times some of this stuff could have been nipped in the bud a long time ago, but we have to go through stuff. We have to learn. It don't have to be as hard, but being where we at, this is where we at, and we're gonna deal with it. And Eve, I think you have an accountability moment too, like I do as well. So I deal with that. But I think Eve, you got a little bit of accountability moment, and the stuff gonna be dealt with, and there will be consequences. Off code, you gotta go.
I don't understand that though. When people say, "Well, Eve, you got it," she didn't break no laws against nobody.
Yeah,
She
no,
didn't,
you
she didn't mistreat
correct. Yeah,
Nah,
no,
right.
what he
You
did is
right. I guess,
unexcusable.
nah.
anyone. She didn't mistreat anyone. So it's kind of weird when I keep hearing guys. I keep hearing it. Oh well, you got something. You got
Immortal.
something.
Immortal. Let me, what he's talking about, this is something that we've been talking about, I guess, privately. So thanks. But to the point, accountability. Here's my accountability moment. When I was invited out the first time, I could have brought him with me. And if I had brought him with me, I think that a lot of what has all transpired wouldn't have gone down like that. To the point of, I've seen how he treats people in public, and it's not how you would think people would treat people. And then to see people accept said treatment because, they've been around for so long, kind of goes to Mona's point. If people aren't talking about what's going on, then the shit will fester. And as a person who watched in real time some just not how we act. And Morley, you just talked about that. Like, there's some shit we don't laugh at. And I laugh at a lot of shit. I'm a very dark person, and it can get really fucked up. But, I also laugh at me, so I feel like it's a equal opportunity, but some stuff's just not funny, to the point of, I don't like that Freddie Gibbs is going through the same shit because his crazy baby moms got mad at him for whatever reason. Like, some stuff is just private, because as it stands, there's a lot of people who have their privates public. And if that's what people want to see, then why can't they go look at the stuff that's already out there? Unless it's because people are out here trying to harm people. And then why are people trying to harm people? Is it just because we're fucked up people, or is it because of something else? And I think it's something else. Like, I can't keep accepting that, we're people who can't deal with some stuff, because I know that we got a moral code about us, and we always have. It's the disruptions to that code that get people off. And to my own accountability, right? I had a whole disconnect with the two channels, but I made it made sense. So if anything, I think it's just that. I don't think he's talking about anything more than that.
I'm
But
sorry, I
if he's
misunderstood.
still around, or whatever.
Apologize if I misunderstood, but all this.
Yeah, no, that was more personal than public. But look, I've been transparent, y'all. This nigga does not allow questions, to the point of Jason Reed shared in the Jumbo, where someone called up tonight to the program and they got hung up on because he doesn't like confrontation. But if you don't like confrontation, why would you do what you did? It seems like you would want people to say something about it, and then you would be able to say something about
I'm
it.
not really sure what you're referring to.
Let's
Sir.
see. Here it is.
I'm not really sure what you're referring to, sir. Okay. What is it about when a black man would take, you know what I'm saying, a personal situation with a female and then blast her shit on the internet, such as yourself? You know what I'm saying? And you walk around and you Sir, is this a manhood code? Sir, what part of manhood is this? Sir, What part of manhood is this? This is my thing, brother. This is my thing. Okay, what part of manhood is this? Somebody come get their hysterical LGBT granny. Somebody come get your hysterical LGBT grandma.
This nigga is so corny. Look, to the point, he said, what part of manhood is this? Check this, check this, check this.
All right. Now, you got a relationship with a woman, or a woman's got a relationship with a man. You keep your damn mouth shut about what was going on between the two of them. Maybe you might tell a close friend, all right, but you don't put it online and publish it trying to make her feel better because she put you down for somebody else. That's a woman move. Matter of fact, that's a bitch move.
That part. That's a bitch move. That's a bitch ass nigga. And, you know, I think that another accountability moment, Immortal, is the fact that my dude has been very consistent about some of the stuff, and I've been very hard-headed about what it is. Jason Reid can tell you and attest to the hard-headedness because he too kind of in real time tried to let me know that there was some shit going on, and people gotta, you know, experience things for themselves before they realize it. But my question to people is, how many times does that have to happen before other people will want to do something about what's going on? Because it's like Emmett Till's mom, right? So she has an open casket because she doesn't want people to, you know, not know, and she wants the truth out there, and she doesn't want other people to experience what she experienced and shit. But people only really make it real when it's happened to them. So I'm saying, why do you want it to happen to you for it to be real for you? And then, you know, I'm in real life situation dealing with it right now. So transparent to my detriment, you know, what's up, niggas? Like, where are we at? But again, I don't know if it's a woman issue as much as I know that I have gotten in the way of some handling situations because of trying to protect people's interests. And then from there, when the men do come together, if they come together, or maybe they've been like, Mona, maybe we've gotten in the way too many times, and they're like, fuck it.
Okay, let me say this, and I'm going to be truthfully honest. For all the ladies in the room with Style and Grace, we don't send out nudes. The person that asks you, do you trust them, is probably the person that you should not trust. So that was the problem right there that started this whole thing going on. But he said, what kind of manhood is that? Back in my day, men didn't kiss and tell. Back in my day, men weren't gossipers. Back in the day, they wasn't talking about who they hit. I'm gonna use you, Immortal, you know, hypothetically. Immortal could have hit me last night and we come to work tomorrow and nobody would ever know. So that means somebody got low self-esteem issues, because once Eve decided that she wasn't gonna do this no more, then you feel salty, you feel some kind of way, you feel out of control, and then that's why you did what you did, to try to destroy a person that only had your best interest at heart, that came to you out the kindness of her heart. To be down for your cause and to get shitted on like that you got you got to feel some type of way. Men are not supposed to act like little bitches, like Judge Joe Brown said. He said it correctly. Where we do this at? This shit ain't funny. This shit ain't cute. You the high value nigga. You the one that everybody want. So what is now? She don't want you. She was a single baby mama anyway. So how do you talk about single baby mothers but use them for your agenda and then shit on them afterwards? When you can't promise somebody something because it said that you only supposed to fuck single baby mothers. So now that you can't fuck, or whatever the situation was, that they don't want to be down for your bullshit, that they don't want to be damaged any further, you mad because you said you're not going to step up to the plate? Okay, nigga, you're not going to step up to the plate. I got to bounce. So because I bounce, you put some pictures on the internet? What the fuck? Make it make sense. It's a lot of shit going on in this goddamn internet. I don't like you. You don't like me. You don't like her. She don't like this girl because a nigga told you not to like him. But we all at the fucking bottom. We all supposed to be rising up. And we talk about the system of white supremacy, that the white man got their foot on our neck. White men ain't even got their foot on our neck no more. We got our foot on each other's necks. We got a lot of Negroes out here that want to be in the white man's position, not because it's the right thing to do. It's so that they can exploit the people. And that's what we're seeing happen. It's my way or no way, and your way is fucked up. So why do I have to adhere to your way? Why do you call yourself a brother and want to harm me? It's a goddamn shame that we have to be afraid of the men that are our own kind that look just like us. We should be afraid of the white man, the Asian man, the Mexican man, the Arab man, but not our own brothers and sisters. This is embarrassing. This is a heinous crime against a black woman that's trying to use her life, her resources, her energy, her spirituality, her mentality to help us rise up, and you do this bullshit? It's a lot of women out here that have not spoken up. He better hope that Eve is not the Cassie to his P. Diddy. He better hope that Eve didn't open up Pandora's box, because there's a whole lot of sisters out here that got some stories to tell. He better hope that Eve did not give them the courage to say what happened to them under the guise of B1, black first. When Eve came around, I wasn't even fucking with black first. I don't need a organization to say I'm black first. So when Eve came around, I really wanted to say, this ain't what you want. But it wasn't my place. Because, see, we have a sisterhood of failure. We have women that think that, oh, we all can't get it. Oh, she hating on me. Oh, she mad because he replaced me. It ain't about that. We got to get this sisterhood together. We got to get this brotherhood together. And if not today, when? We going to keep on glossing over it? We going to keep on making excuses for it? We going to keep on playing like we a ghost? Or we ain't going to say nothing? Because I know it's a whole lot of motherfuckers that looked at Jason Reed's post and they see that shit and they ain't said a goddamn thing. But had it been your mama, had it been your daughter with her ass out, had it been your sister, your cousin, your niece, then you want to go to war and you want an army behind you. But because it's somebody you don't know or you may not like, are you jealous or envious of, it's cool. It's not fucking cool. It's not. Black first.
I know that's right. Um, yeah, right. Everything she just said. And look, like she said, I didn't actually know that she wasn't rocking with the fucking cult of personality when I was first introduced to her, because I find that what was taught is on code about not saying things is really just some fuckboy shit trying to get away with a bunch of shit. And, the isolation aspect of cults is a real thing. Y'all should look it up. Google is your friend. And if you don't like Google, ChatGPT is pretty nice, but you can get swindled because it has been whitewashed by the people who created it. So there is that. But technology is beautiful if you know how to use it. And to a very real point about technology, that is another reason why it's so easy for people to abuse us. We talk a lot, right? For niggas who act like they understand the 48 laws of power and shit, that number 4 gets us every time, right? Say less. But since we talk so much, I think that we've been a people who've been able to be savvy about the things that have been said and how things should happen. But we get real complex inside of the levels and the doubles and the triples, right? So then it's like, make it plain, because niggas don't like to read and they don't like to think. So I think what's been made plain this evening is that, when harm has happened, bystanders are accountable to the information that they've received. And then, should be taken with a grain of salt, because everybody doesn't know everything about what's going on. And if you don't know everything, then maybe you should pay attention. But it doesn't mean that if you've seen something that you knew was wrong and then you chose not to say something because you are close to it. All right, let me say this about Mona. Mona's absolutely right in how she handled me, because people might not be ready for what is coming out. And I said that a couple spaces ago. I'm not necessarily out here trying to ruin y'all's image of your internet daddy as much as want to see the man behind the curtain. Then maybe things start to make sense. But if they don't, you need somebody to read you the news. I swear to God, I've been saying that over and over. I'm cool if that's what you want, but I'll be goddamn if this nigga can raise $200,000 for a fucking documentary that I know for a fact would not even be into fruition without my work, without other women like me who have done a lot of work to bring you some very talented people, for it to be put together like a fucking PowerPoint slideshow, for y'all to think that it's some big-ass production because somebody with a big voice told you it was, when really it's a man behind the curtain. and a nigga carrying his bags. That's about it, and maybe a pretty bitch or two on the side, because you need eye candy. But outside of that, I'm not saying the information isn't something that you want to learn, because again, he does have information that people can learn from. You can get a battery put in you if you actually do the things that he's talking about, but it's been established that niggas don't like to do as much as they like to spectate. From there, I guess we need to have some straightening, right? Okay, maybe not like that, but maybe like that. I don't know. That's up to y'all to decide. I've decided that if I see that fucking banner on your shit, fuck you in a very disrespectful way. Because at this point, if you've been here and been around me, I've been very vocal about what happened to me from the fucking first day. So people saying that they don't know what happened and they want me to explain and they want pictures and they're hitting up Jason Reid because they think he's messy, or they hitting up Mona because they think she's jaded. Like, fuck y'all. You can go on my YouTube. There's a 4-hour program. Jason Reid mentioned it. Other people mentioned it. I played a clip from it. It's very detailed about all the little nasty kinks that y'all want to fucking know about that you want me to keep going over and over again. My minis matter. So I hope that in the event in the future that they pull some shit, that this is what they pull. Me and their father fighting for their innocence. Because fuck Jeremy Barbell Black. And if other women are brave enough to speak up, I think that would be pretty cool. But if not, then, I understand that you've been hurt and abuse is a bitch. But, if you accept the abuse, well, there's something there too, right? I don't know if anybody has any final words, but if you don't, or if you do, now would be the time.
I have one final thought.
Go ahead, Mom.
It's been said on these social media streets that the women are supposed to take care of the women. They are supposed to correct the women. And this is true. The men, it's time for you to stand up, step up. The men are supposed to handle the men. I'm done. Y'all, have a good evening. I'm gone.
Thank you, Mona. Jeremy would say that we are a dysfunctional sisterhood, to the point where he told people not, like, he's so cowardly that you being as outspoken as you are, he wouldn't say don't fuck with Mona. He just started calling names, and then people are supposed to be able to put together the pieces to the puzzle. And then if I'm not saying something about somebody, then I'm saying something about somebody. What the fuck is that? Nah. If there's a person around you that don't need to be around you, then you should do something about that. Or be subject to the shit that you're around. And then from there, if nobody's saying anything about it, then I get it. But once somebody says something about it, then what are you waiting for? Like, really? But, well, I guess that's up to y'all, because I've been very vocal. Jason, Immortal, did y'all have something you wanted to go before I drop y'all down?
Just real quick. When he said, now when it all makes sense when he says, those that weren't with us last, or that were with us last year and ain't with us this year, whatever bullshit, you all need to start asking the question, why? Why are they not with you no more? Some of the day one close people that were tight and they disappeared. Use your critical thinking and say, well, why aren't they with you? What happened? It don't seem like they've changed. They all can't be crazy. You have to start asking those questions, because he's been found out. And it's time to go ahead and pull the curtain back on the Wizard of Oz. Remember the Wizard of Oz? He literally is the Wizard of Oz. That's all I got. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, sis, I don't have anything else. I think I done made the points I needed to make for the moment.
Well, to the room and to the speakers, I appreciate y'all being here this evening and morning, because it's midnight where I am. Look, I very much expect people to be the people they say they are. I will always say that if you haven't stepped out there and said that you were going to do something, then I can't actually say that I hold you accountable for anything, because you didn't say you were going to do something. But people who say that they are one way and then they go out of their way to not be that way, I can't now look at you no more. That shit's whack, and I'm going to call it whack. And I think that what Parain was talking about, what my dude's been talking about, some people do need to get hands put on them in a very real way, to the point of the internet existing, because they don't want to have these confrontations. But if you're a person who runs away from the fights that you start, then that might not be a safe person to be around. I'm just saying, like, we're already walking out the door with targets on our back. Why would we make it harder? But as it stands, complex and all that shit, people might be stubborn like me and need to, scrape their knee before shit gets real. But as it stands, when consequences start coming out and people start understanding how much you've accepted and for what reason, I think that we're adults, so to that point, I think that I've apologized to most of the people that I've harmed on behalf of Jeremy, to Jason Reed, to Mona, to Lane. I don't know where the fuck you are, Lane, tonight, but shout out to Lane. He's got a comic book. It's kind of crazy, but if you're into weird ass shit, I think it's called Get Becky or some shit, but you should check it out if you want to. Yeah, it's a lot of people who've been harmed because this nigga has an ego problem. And then if you're in the cult of personality, then maybe you've accepted the ego because you think the message matters. But if you're not a person doing anything with the message, then I strongly urge you to rethink some of these stone cold decisions that you've made based off of this nigga's kayfabe. Did you see what I did? That was a whole wrestling reference. Okay, I've been around this nigga too long. Anyway, protecting the minis from predators. If you have minis, it's past time to pay attention to shit like this. And if you don't have minis, I know you know some, so don't you care about them to do something about this? Oh, and shout out to Jeremy and the anonymous listeners, because I know you're here, and you're a bitch. What's up, everybody? It's Eve. Follow me on Twitter and YouTube for space recordings and special live programs. 2024, we're doing things a little different if you haven't peeped game by now. So yeah, this is your chance. You can do it now if you want. Hit the bell here on YouTube at JustEveB, or find me on X at Justice4 Us. That's JUSTICE 4 JUST_US. And if you feel so inclined, support my channel and the work we do over here. The Cash App and Patreon links are in the description. Black first.